Welcome to the part 3 of Villain, the School Beauty's plot. If you encounter any issues or have feedback, please let me know in the comments rather than just disliking the video. Your input helps me improve, and I'm here to make sure you have the best experience possible. Enjoy the content.
Chapter 101 Extreme Pull. Lin Xiao is happy, and so is Chen Beiyuan. The only ones who are unhappy may be some Sakura people. And coincidentally, among the exchange students this time, there happened to be a team from the Sakura country. The captain of this Sakura Kingdom exchange student is the eldest prince of the Sakura Kingdom royal family, Jingu Fengyuan, and the vice captain is Ito Makoto, the second son of the Ito family. Baga, Chen Beiyuan is really deceiving people too much. The Ito family just delivered a batch of valuable ordnance and weapons to the Kingdom of Cloverfield. In the blink of an eye, he destroyed the Kingdom of Cloverfield and also destroyed the batch of valuable weapons. Taking possession of the weapons for himself clearly means he doesn't take the Ito family seriously. Ito Makoto's handsome face, which could fascinate thousands of girls, was full of anger and frustration. Obviously, as a core member of the Ito family, he is also aware of the family's deployment on the Black Continent. The Black Continent is rich in resources, but it has always been in a state of war. Small countries are at war with each other, and the interests are divided among several big countries. The Longting group of the Donghua Empire, the Crow group of the Bald Eagle Alliance, and the Cross group of the Phallic Empire, these three world-level arms dealers almost control the entire arms business in the Black Continent, and each supports its own spokesperson. Naturally, the Ito family of Sakura country also wanted to get involved, so they set their sights on Cloverfield, a small and inconspicuous country, and wanted to infiltrate it bit by bit. As a result, Chen Beiyuan gave the Ito family a hard blow as soon as their plan started. Not only did they destroy the Clover Kingdom that the Ito family planned to support, but they also surrendered the weapons. At this moment, the Ito family's hand reaching out to the Black Continent was cut off. Just now, his father Shinzo Ito called and scolded him severely, asking him to negotiate with Chen Beiyuan, hoping to return those valuable weapons, or use that batch of arms and weapons as a price in exchange for an admission ticket to the Black Continent. Now, it was Ito Makoto's turn to be dumbfounded. Despite how loud he was yelling at the moment, he was obviously frightened by Chen Beiyuan's domineering and ruthless tactics just now, and he didn't dare to go directly to Chen Beiyuan. He was afraid that Chen Beiyuan would mess with him if he disagreed. Ito-kun, don't be too angry. Jingu Fengyuan looked at Ito Makoto, who was venting his anger wantonly in front of him with a gentle expression, and said words of admonishment, but there was a hint of disdain in his eyes. Obviously, the eldest prince, who was born in the Sakura Kingdom royal family, looked down upon the second son of the Ito family. Although he has a handsome and heroic face, he is actually stern, timid, and lustful and greedy. However, it would be more beneficial for the Sakura Kingdom royal family to have more of this kind of stuff in the Ito family. He was even happy to see Chen Beiyuan ruin the Ito family's plan. Let's do this. I'll ask Yukino to negotiate with Beiyuan-kun to see if I can help you. The Yukino mentioned by Jingu Fengyuan is her biological sister, Jingu Yukino, the jewel of the Sakura Kingdom royal family. Your Highness, what you said is true, but isn't it a bit? Ito-chung was suddenly delighted. If someone is willing to come forward and confront Chen Beiyuan on his behalf, that would naturally be the best. But in his mind, the best candidate is the eldest prince of Sakura Kingdom, Jingu Fengyuan, not the princess of Sakura Kingdom, Jingu Yukino. After all, Jingu Yukino is the goddess in his heart. What if he is offended by that villain Chen Beiyuan? Okay, Ito-kun, nothing will happen. I'm just asking for help, Jingu Fengyuan said with a smile. Don't look at him looking like he's thinking about Ito Makoto at the moment. But in fact, what he really wanted in his heart was that he hoped that Yukino could use this opportunity to establish a relationship with Chen Beiyuan. The Sakura Kingdom royal family has been so suppressed by the Ito family in recent years that they have almost been ignored and turned into a mascot. A strong foreign aid is urgently needed. Donghua Chen family is undoubtedly an excellent choice. It would be great if Yukino could marry Chen Jun. Principal Jiang, excuse me. Yunhua, are you here too? Chen Beiyuan, who had just entered the principal's office, was immediately attracted by a pair of perfectly proportioned, white and translucent long legs on the sofa. The owner of these long, snow-white legs is the sixth highness of the Donghua Empire, Jiang Yunhua. Chen Beiyuan's face was a little surprised, but he soon returned to normal. Jiang Yunhua also had a hint of surprise on his face. Beiyuan, I just happened to come here to see my second uncle. I didn't expect to meet you. What a coincidence. Yeah, what a coincidence. Chen Beiyuan also had a meaningful look on his face, and without too much avoidance, he walked over and sat on the sofa, close to Jiang Yunhua. There was no way, there was only one sofa in the entire office, and it was impossible for him to stand. Then we can only squeeze in with Jiang Yunhua reluctantly. I guess Yunhua wouldn't mind. Faced with Chen Beiyuan's intimate behavior, Jiang Yunhua really didn't mind and even had a calm expression. However, Chen Beiyuan, who was close to her, could clearly sense that when he sat down, Zhang Yunhua's body trembled slightly, and the temperature on his body seemed to have increased significantly. Zhang Bai saw his niece and Chen Beiyuan being so close. Not only was he not angry at all, but he was actually a little happy to see it, and there was a bit more smile on his serious face. Yunhua Beiyuan, you are both young people. You have a lot of topics in common. When you have nothing to do, you can get closer to each other. Okay, Principal Jiang, I will get close to Yunhua, Chen Beiyuan said with a pun. Ha ha ha, what is your name, Principal Jiang? If you meet someone outside, just call me Uncle Jiang. Jiang Bai laughed, and his tone became a little more intimate. Uncle Jiang. This time he came here to ask someone for help. Chen Beiyuan naturally climbed up the pole and took advantage of it. He directly stretched out his hand and hugged Jiang Yunhua next to him. The Sixth Highness of the Donghua Empire did not resist, but fell into Chen Beiyuan's arms, with a hint of shyness on his face. At this moment, he could clearly feel that Yunhua in his arms seemed to be shaking a bit. Good boy. Zhang Bai looked at the scene in front of him. While sighing at the young man's boldness, his eyes towards Chen Beiyuan also softened a lot. Chen Beiyuan also looked at him calmly. The two foxes, one big and one small, are pulling each other at the moment. Frontline battlefields, prison camps. After learning that the big shots above had specially sent a few top names to comfort them, the entire prison camp was in a state of excitement. Almost everyone came out to welcome them. When Prince Talos and others were sent to the prison camp, what they saw was a group of extremely vicious prisoners, with all kinds of mutilated limbs looking at them with greedy eyes. Take your time and play. Don't play to death so quickly. This is Master Chin's reward for you. The person in charge of escorting said something and threw the person out of the car. The next moment, Prince Talos and others were directly surrounded by strong figures, and the atmosphere instantly became anxious. No. Chapter 101, Part 2. But in his mind, the best candidate is the eldest prince of Sakura Kingdom, Jingu Fengyuan, not the princess of Sakura Kingdom, Jingu Yukino. After all, Jingu Yukino is the goddess in his heart. What if he is offended by that villain Chen Beiyuan? Okay, Ito-kun, nothing will happen. I'm just asking for help, Jingu Fengyuan said with a smile. Don't look at him looking like he's thinking about Ito Makoto at the moment. But in fact, what he really wanted in his heart was that he hoped that Yukino could use this opportunity to establish a relationship with Chen Beiyuan. The Sakura Kingdom royal family has been so suppressed by the Ito family in recent years that they have almost been ignored and turned into a mascot. A strong foreign aid is urgently needed. Donghua Chen family is undoubtedly an excellent choice. It would be great if Yukino could marry Chen Jun. Principal Jiang, excuse me. Yunhua, are you here too? Chen Beiyuan, who had just entered the principal's office, was immediately attracted by a pair of perfectly proportioned, white and translucent long legs on the sofa. The owner of these long, snow-white legs is the Sixth Highness of the Donghua Empire, Jiang Yunhua. Chen Beiyuan's face was a little surprised, but he soon returned to normal. Jiang Yunhua also had a hint of surprise on his face. Beiyuan, I just happened to come here to see my second uncle. I didn't expect to meet you. What a coincidence. Yeah, what a coincidence. Chen Beiyuan also had a meaningful look on his face, and without too much avoidance, he walked over and sat on the sofa, close to Jiang Yunhua. There was no way, there was only one sofa in the entire office, and it was impossible for him to stand. Then we can only squeeze in with Jiang Yunhua reluctantly. I guess Yunhua wouldn't mind. Faced with Chen Beiyuan's intimate behavior, Jiang Yunhua really didn't mind and even had a calm expression. However, Chen Beiyuan, who was close to her, could clearly sense that when he sat down, Jiang Yunhua's body trembled slightly, and the temperature on his body seemed to have increased significantly. Zhang Bai saw his niece and Chen Beiyuan being so close. Not only was he not angry at all, but he was actually a little happy to see it, and there was a bit more smile on his serious face. Yunhua Beiyuan, you are both young people. You have a lot of topics in common. When you have nothing to do, you can get closer to each other. Okay, Principal Jiang, I will get close to Yunhua, Chen Beiyuan said with a pun. Ha ha ha, what is your name, Principal Jiang? If you meet someone outside, just call me Uncle Jiang. Jiang Bai laughed, and his tone became a little more intimate. Uncle Jiang. This time he came here to ask someone for help. Chen Beiyuan naturally climbed up the pole and took advantage of it. He directly stretched out his hand and hugged Jiang Yunhua next to him. The Sixth Highness of the Donghua Empire did not resist, but fell into Chen Beiyuan's arms, with a hint of shyness on his face. At this moment, he could clearly feel that Yunhua in his arms seemed to be shaking a bit. Good boy. Zhang Bai looked at the scene in front of him. While sighing at the young man's boldness, his eyes towards Chen Beiyuan also softened a lot. Chen Beiyuan also looked at him calmly. The two foxes, one big and one small, are pulling each other at the moment. Frontline battlefields, prison camps. After learning that the big shots above had specially sent a few top names to comfort them, the entire prison camp was in a state of excitement. Almost everyone came out to welcome them. Chapter 101, Part 3. When Prince Talos and others were sent to the prison camp, what they saw was a group of extremely vicious prisoners, with all kinds of mutilated limbs looking at them with greedy eyes. Take your time and play. Don't play to death so quickly. This is Master Chen's reward for you. The person in charge of escorting said something and threw the person out of the car. The next moment, Prince Talos and others were directly surrounded by strong figures, and the atmosphere instantly became anxious. No. Chapter 102, Chief Chen, Principal's Office. After a few brief polite words, Chen Beiyuan finally revealed the purpose of his trip. Uncle Jiang, I came here hoping to enter the Soul Beast Tower and conduct the Soul Beast trial. Soul Beast Tower. This is an 8th grade magic weapon that Donghua Academy is open to its students. This magical weapon has the special ability to capture souls and shadows. It can capture the souls of slain ferocious beasts and aliens and simulate their appearance and strength in life. There are 8 levels inside this tower, corresponding to the ferocious beasts or aliens from 1st grade to 8th grade. Each level has a vast space, as well as corresponding groups of ferocious beasts or alien creatures. The trialist must kill them all within the specified time before they can enter the next level. If you fail the challenge, you will be forcibly teleported. This tower not only allows testers to experience the thrilling close combat with ferocious beasts and aliens, but also enhances their actual combat experience. It also has a hidden benefit. That is, after killing those ferocious beasts, the trialist, who enters for the first time, will receive a certain spiritual increase and strengthen his soul power. This will undoubtedly be of great benefit to Chen Beiyuan himself in breaking through to the 6th grade title. Not only can it save a lot of time in training, but it can also increase its fighting skills and experience. However, this 8th grade magic weapon, Soul Beast Tower, is not that easy to use, and it also has harsh conditions. According to the school rules of Donghua University, this 8th grade magic weapon can only have one trialist quota per year. If Donghua students want to use it, they must first pay 100,000 academic points and have certain academic achievements. Only then can they apply to Donghua Academy to use it. Then, when the application is approved and when it is your turn, it depends on the efficiency above. Of course, this is a method for ordinary people. People with special status like Chen Beiyuan can go through the back door and use some benefit exchanges to jump in line midway. Previously, Lin Jiuzhou, Bai Ruowei, Zhu Kuaiwei and other imperial prodigy had gone through the back door to get their places as trialists. Who has so much time to complete the tasks of the school and slowly accumulate learning points and contributions? It's not like the family's fortunes are in decline, so you're looking for trouble for yourself. Zhang Bai was not surprised by this. In the past, when those imperial prodigy broke through to the 6th grade Battle King, they would almost always come to Donghua Academy, join a team, and get a trialist quota. This has almost become a routine for the children of aristocratic families. Of course, as long as the benefits and price are high enough, then it can be negotiated. Special things should be done. Zhang Bai just pondered for a moment, and then agreed happily. Since it's Beiyuan who's talking, it's no problem. Just now you took care of the exchange students for the school, and I was still thinking about how to reward you. Obviously, the principal of Donghua Academy, the Prince of the Empire, is ready to make another favor. Second uncle, Yunhua still remembers that the chief executive of this academy has not yet been selected. I think Beiyuan is good. I think there should be no one better than him among this class of Donghua students. At this moment, Zhang Yunhua, who was leaning in Chen Beiyuan's arms, suddenly said. Suddenly, the expressions of the two men present changed. Chen Beiyuan was surprised and surprised. He obviously didn't expect Zhang Yunhua, the heroine of luck, to have such a hand. Zhang Bai was stunned and helpless. He never expected that his niece would actually turn her elbows outward and give him such a blow. The chief of Donghua Academy is almost equivalent to the great master of all Donghua students. He is the face of the entire academy, which carries a lot of political weight and also has considerable privileges. For example, similar to Soul Beast Tower, an 8th grade magic weapon academy resource, Chief, can have 2 opportunities to apply for admission every year. For the other Donghua students, Chief also has certain restrictive power. Since the establishment of the academy, this position has almost always been held by members of the royal family and has never been held by anyone with a foreign surname. During this period, if the members of the royal family do not work hard, then this position will naturally be vacant. This time, Chen Beiyuan's brilliance is so dazzling that almost no one among his peers in the royal family can hold him down, so the position of Chief Great Master is naturally destined to be vacant. Even Chen Beiyuan is very aware of this and has never expected it. In the original work, Lin Shao, the son of fortune, has never been the chief of Donghua Academy. This location is the private plot of the Zhang family. Ahem, Yunhua, Beiyuan is too young after all and still lacks some training. The smile on Zhang Bai's face gradually disappeared, and his expression became serious. Chen Beiyuan was not surprised by this. He knew very well that Zhang Bai would not agree. After all, this kind of thing is not something that Jiang Yunhua, the sixth prince of the empire, can interfere with. There are so many interests involved. There were too many things involved, and the amiable Uncle Jiang just now suddenly turned into the selfless Principal Jiang. Second uncle, I want to see Grandma a few days ago. Grandma just mentioned Beiyuan. She said that we should give young people a chance to exercise, and my father also agreed. As soon as Jiang Yunhua said these words, the scene instantly fell into deathly silence. By this time, even a fool knew that the person who really intervened was the Empress Dowager with the highest status in the Donghua Empire. The corners of Chen Beiyuan's mouth twitched slightly. He had learned something from his father before. The identity of the Empress Dowager of the empire is not simple. She is not only the biological mother of the emperor and Jiang Bai, but also the most noble woman in the entire empire. She seems to be one of my old man's ex-girlfriends. Moreover, it was my old man who was being pursued by the other party at that time. It seems that my old man was tortured so much by the other party that he reluctantly agreed to be her girlfriend. As a result, after agreeing, the other party seemed to be struggling even more. This time he really took advantage of his old man. If his surname hadn't been Chen, and he was Chen Shana's grandson, this good thing would never have happened to him today. Facing the instructions from his old mother and the nod from his eldest brother, even if Jiang Bai no longer wanted to, he no longer had any objection. Ever since, the serious Principal Jiang went offline again. Kind Uncle Jiang is online again. Ha ha ha, that's true. Young people should indeed be given a chance to perform. As soon as these words came out, the tone was almost set. Harem. A graceful, plump and beautiful woman was holding a photo of Chen Beiyuan in her hand. Looking at it carefully with her enchanting eyes, her stunning face became a little more moved, and she murmured to herself, "It really looks like that old thing from back then." As I was writing and writing, I suddenly fell asleep while writing. When I woke up, I quickly continued to work on the manuscript and finally finished it. I almost missed something big. Chapter 103, By She's Broken Armor. Chen Beiyuan was awarded the title and position of school chief. This major news was like a bomb, causing an uproar in Donghua University. Countless Donghua students and school leaders were instantly shocked. Did I hear that right? Chen Beiyuan was really awarded the position of chief of the school? This is not something that the Jiang family has always held on to, but it was actually given to an outsider. Is the Jiang family crazy? Playing so big? Give this position to an outsider? The position of the chief of the academy is equivalent to the great master of all Donghua students. It can almost be said to be the leader of all students. I don't know how many connections he can accumulate, and he also has various special rights. The treatment he enjoys is even more similar to that of the academy. Equivalence at the top? The chief of the school is originally held by the Donghua student with the strongest strength and noble moral character in the past. Mr. Chen should be the chief. I, Laonyo, was the first to agree. Master Chen, no. What Chief Chen did before has been witnessed by everyone. Hasn't it been obvious to everyone to punish those wanton exchange students and promote our Donghua national prestige? Now those bastards still dare to be as rampant as before, cutting in line and harassing women at will. Student? Moreover, in terms of strength alone, which student in this class is as good as Chief Chen? This is also a good thing. There have been rumors outside that the chief position was controlled by the Jiang family. This time, the young master of the Chen family took over, which actually broke this rumor. In an instant, the entire Donghua Academy was talking about it, and there were a lot of controversies. Not only the Donghua students, but also the higher-ups of the school and the exchange students from various countries were shocked by this big news. Some of them may hold objections, but in the end it will be of no avail. The position of chief is determined by the principal from beginning to end, and there is no need for the people below to vote. Logistics office. What did you say? Sorry, classmate Lin Xiao, this year's trial quota has been reserved in advance by Chief Chen. You may have to wait until next year. Facing the explanations from the school staff, Lin Xiao's expression suddenly turned gloomy and ugly, and his clenched fists made a crackling sound. Isn't the reason why he tried so hard to return to Donghua University just because of its abundant resources? Especially the Soul Beast Tower, an opportunity that can enhance mental power and strengthen the strength of the soul. He has long been salivating over. As early as 5 years ago, he began to continuously complete the tasks of the academy, accumulate learning points, and accumulate contributions. It can be said that he spent a lot of effort before he got the opportunity to use the Soul Beast Tower and followed the instructions of Donghua Academy. Apply the rules. If he were in the right position, he would be able to get a trial opportunity in the Soul Beast Tower this year. But now, you say it's not his turn? Where are you riding a horse? How could you give up my spot to Chen Beiyuan? Lin Xiao was angry. This trial opportunity was extremely important to him. It will help him prepare for breaking through to the 6th grade title. Now, you're telling me that I have to wait another year? What if someone jumps in line again next year? Do we have to wait until the year after next? Next year? The year after tomorrow? Sorry, classmate Lin Xiao, I can understand your mood, but this is the rule of Donghua Academy. Every academy chief has the opportunity to enjoy the academy's resources in advance. If you feel it's unfair, you can report it to the higher authorities. Bang! That's too much. Lin Xiao slammed the table with a sullen face, ignored the school staff in front of him, and turned to leave. Lin Xiao knew very well that his 5 years of hard work had been in vain. As long as Chen Beiyuan is still the head of the school, he can forcibly hold the annual use rights of the Soul Beast Tower in his hands. Chen Beiyuan, I have it for you. Ding! Congratulations to the host for changing the fate line and obtaining the position of Chief of the Academy, which indirectly caused Son of Fortune to lose the opportunity to enter the Soul Beast Tower, which had a certain impact on the protagonist's luck. Ding! Congratulations to the host for receiving a special reward, Bishi Sanjia. By Shikanjia, the dragon has 9 sons, 6 sons by Shi, also known as Basya. It is shaped like a turtle, good at carrying heavy objects, talented and powerful, and its armor is tough and can withstand murder. This residual armor can withstand 3 8-grade attacks. Shiashan Yijia. Chen Beiyuan looked at the thick and bloody tortoise shell in the system space with a hint of surprise in his eyes. A piece of broken armor can resist 3 8th-grade attacks. How terrifying was Bai Shi's strength during his lifetime. That tortoiseshell defense, even if the 8th-grade War Emperor beats him to death, he still can't break it. This thing is definitely a defensive treasure. At critical moments, it can be used to save your life. Yunhua, thank you very much this time. Chen Beiyuan came back to his senses, looked at the tall figure beside him that was as dazzling as a phoenix, and said solemnly, Jiang Yunhua definitely contributed a lot to his ability to become the chief of the academy. It was even very likely that Jiang Yunhua took the initiative to mention it to the Queen Mother. With this level of identity, he can almost be said to be a dimensionality-reducing blow to all Donghua students. Nowadays, Lin Xiao is probably almost scolding his mother. He has easily messed up the 5-year plan. I have to say that at this moment, Chen Beiyuan feels a bit like having a hard time eating soft rice. However, it seems pretty good. Beiyuan, there is no need to say thank you between us. Jiang Yunhua smiled softly and held his hand very naturally, his eyes full of doting. Looking back on those days, Bai Ruowei was not the only one to see the newborn Chen Beiyuan when she was a child. Bai Ruowei has been waiting for him for 18 years, so why not she? Just when the two were holding hands and talking happily, a cold and charming figure followed behind him silently, watching silently. Seeing Chen Beiyuan being so intimate with other women, Leng Ruobing clenched her fists tightly, her expression gradually becoming ferocious and terrifying, as if she had seen her beloved thing taken away. He's mine. And just when everyone was talking about Chief Chen, another big news has appeared. 3 days later, Donghua Academy's 8th-grade divine weapon, Soul Beast Tower, will be opened. Chief Chen will enter it and take on the trial challenge. In an instant, the direction of all the controversy and public opinion changed again. It began to turn into how many levels Chief Chen could pass and what achievements he achieved. Before, the highest scores of Donghua students in previous years were only passing the 6th level and then failing on the 7th level. Chen Beiyuan was able to become the school chief as an outsider. At the same time, he is also the youngest school chief in the history of Donghua Academy. How many floors can he pass? Many people are curious about this question. Chapter 104. Well, it's so hard to be a villain. The 8th-grade divine weapon is not so easy to use. Even if the 8th-grade War Emperor personally activates it, it still requires a lot of consumption. This is why Donghua Academy has stipulated that the 8th-grade magic weapon, Soul Beast Tower, can only be used once a year, and there are extremely harsh conditions. Essentially, this 8th-grade magic weapon is not for ordinary Donghua students. It is prepared for those students who are exceptionally talented or have a scary background. And the reason why 3 days is set. On the one hand, it is to recharge Chen Beiyuan essence nurturing so that he can face the trial of Soul Beast Tower in the peak state. On the other hand, Zhang Bai mainly needs to go back to the palace and ask his eldest brother why he agreed to this matter. My old mother is old and confused, so are you too. Once this hole is opened, it will be difficult to close it in the future. Power is never static. Chief Chen, the energy of the Chen family is so great that it can make the royal family back down and give up this position? No wonder the outside world has been spreading rumors that within the Donghua Empire, the royal family Jiang has the final say, but outside the Donghua Empire, the Chen family has the final say. It seems that we need to reevaluate the importance of the Donghua Chen family. If the Sakura Kingdom royal family can make good friends with them, they will definitely get a lot of benefits. Shingong Fengyuan was naturally shocked when he heard that Chen Beiyuan had become the chief of the academy. The eldest prince of the Sakura Kingdom royal family obviously understands the importance of this title. This made him value Chen Beiyuan more and care more about him. If we can make good friends with the future military leader of the Donghua Empire, it will be a good thing for both the Sakura Kingdom and the Jingu family. If the Jingu family wants to regain power, they must rely on strong external forces. This news must be reported to father as soon as possible. Although Zhang Yunhua said no need to thank him, he still accepted his kindness. If he takes it for granted, it is not in line with his character. You have to give something back after all. Relying on others' liking for him, he does whatever he wants and takes it for granted. Then he is no different from Leng Ruobing before. Of course, he knew very well that Zhang Yunhua would not mind this. Among all the luck heroines, she is the most proactive and tolerant. Whatever Chen Beiyuan wants, she will agree to it and try her best to achieve it. In fact, as long as he wants it, the emperor's daughter will even take the initiative to give it to him without any hesitation. Her mobility and execution ability have always been among the best among the lucky heroines. This character is in sharp contrast to Bai Ruowei, who has always regarded herself as the mistress of the Chen family and has always remained reserved. Perhaps, only after Bai Ruowei turns black can he be able to compare with her in this aspect. Yunhua, are you in the body of a fire phoenix? Chen Beiyuan felt Zhang Yunhua's unusual body temperature, like a small stove, and suddenly said. He remembered that in the original work, Zhang Yunhua, the destined heroine, had an adventure since she was a child. She encountered an injured phoenix, healed it, and received a phoenix wing and a drop of phoenix blood essence. After absorbing the essence and blood of the phoenix, her physique was changed into the body of a fire phoenix. She has special control over flames, and she also awakened the top, phoenix, fighting spirit. While this drop of phoenix essence and blood made her stronger, it also caused her a lot of trouble. She endured the burning sensation almost all the time. Over the years, a terrifying fire poison had accumulated in her body, and it would relapse from time to time, causing unbearable pain. At this time, she needs to rely on some treasures to suppress it, or use some means to expel the fire poison. In the original work, Lin Xiao saw this and took the initiative to say that he had a way to remove the fire poison. One is the warming and nourishing method of acupuncture, which can discharge the fire poison little by little, but it is too slow. One is the method of harmonizing yin and yang, which can eliminate fire toxins in a fixed manner, quickly and effectively. At that time, Lin Xiao said that the second option was the best, and said that there was someone who could help. Zhang Yunhua also nodded in agreement, and then went to find Chen Beiyuan to remove the fire. This kind of thing, once you do it, you will get used to it. Whenever Zhang Yunhua felt that the fire poison was about to relapse, he would always go to Chen's house to sit for a whole night. The next day, he left radiantly. Chen Beiyuan was quite impressed by the fire removal plot that happened during the original work. After all, he was the fire removal tool at that time. Yes, when I was a child, I accidentally stained the blood of the phoenix and accidentally awakened this special physique. How did you know? Zhang Yunhua was a little surprised. After all, she had rarely taken action over the years, and not many people knew that she had the body of a fire phoenix. But how did Beiyuan know? Of course I can see it. The fire poison is like bone and marrow. You must have endured it very hard these years. I have read a technique for fire poison in an ancient book. Are you interested in trying it? Chen Beiyuan smiled and said meaningfully. With the wordless medical classic, she has some experience in treating fire poison. Especially after he read the detailed treatment process in the original book, he had unimaginable confidence. Zhang Yunhua was stunned and didn't react for a while. He just nodded subconsciously with a simple face. Okay. Leng Ruobing, who had been following behind, saw the two of them holding hands and leaving Donghua Academy, and actually got in the car and returned to Chen's house. She stood in the corner outside Chen's house for several hours, from sunset to dark. This scene is very similar to the classic scene of Lin Xiao peeping outside the hotel at the beginning. At that time, it was just like this moment. Finally, Zhang Yunhua came out in a trance, with a blush on her majestic and beautiful face, staggering and a little weak. Obviously, the fire poison was effectively discharged, not a drop was left. Soon, under the arrangement of Chen Beiyuan, the princess was escorted back by several female warriors of the Chen family. After all, she was the sixth prince of the royal family, and staying overnight in the room of the young master of the Chen family was likely to cause rumors. However, I don't know if it was an illusion. When leaving, Zhang Yunhua seemed to glance in the direction of Leng Ruobing intentionally or unintentionally, with a smile of victory on the corner of his mouth. Asshole! The Lengyan figure hiding in the corner was shaking with anger. However, what Leng Ruobing didn't know was that Zhang Yunhua's action was not directed at her. Not far behind her, a tall figure holding a snow-white fox stared at Zhang Yunhua expressionlessly. Such a fierce fire poison. Even with the special method recorded in the wordless medical classic, it was almost subdued. Thanks to my prison-suppressing magic energy, which has the effect of suppressing everything, I finally suppressed the fire poison and sprayed it out bit by bit. Chen Beiyuan, who was naked and soaking in the blood pool, had a little emotion on his face. He looked at his right hand, and the skin of the whole palm was a little pale, as if it had been soaked in a boiling hot spring for several hours, and it was still shining with delicate oil. There were also some scratches and bite marks on his body. It was obvious that they were left accidentally during the treatment just now. In order to repay Jiang Yunhua's favor, he tried his best, and his right hand was cramped. Hey, it's really hard to be a villain. Chapter 105 Forced into the Palace. Chen Beiyuan soaked in the blood pool for several hours, and by the way, he calmed down the little silly dragon anew, deep in his soul. Yuan, so tired, hurt. Anu, who was in a deep sleep state, muttered to himself, apparently dreaming. In her huge crouched figure, there is a vaguely visible doll that looks very similar to Chen Beiyuan and is tightly entangled. This doll was made by Chen Beiyuan some time ago and was given to Anu. Obviously, Anu liked this doll very much. He refused to let it go when he was sleeping. He would occasionally lick it, making the whole toy a little wet. During this period of time, Anu's size has reached a length of nearly 200 meters, and his aura has gradually stabilized at the peak of 6th grade beasts. Thinking about it, it shouldn't be too long before she wakes up. Chen Beiyuan estimates that it will be within the next few days. Wow! Chen Beiyuan stood up from the blood pool. The hot beast blood flowed from his strong muscles, and his whole body was covered with white heat. Jasper! He shouted as usual, and waited for someone to put clothes on him. However, there was no response in the dead silent room, only empty silence. The cold and charming figure who was always at her side never appeared again. Chen Beiyuan was slightly startled, as if he was in a trance, and then remembered that the other party had left. At this moment, she should have arrived in Miao territory and started her revenge plan. Almost forgot. Perhaps it was more than a month of service that made him somewhat accustomed to Chen Beiyuan's presence. Nowadays, when people leave, I feel a little uncomfortable. Chen Beiyuan walked out of the blood pool silently, put on his clothes, walked out of the room, and walked to the yard. He was wearing a large black robe, fluttering in the wind, standing with his hands behind his back. His eyes were cold, looking into the distance, and said to himself, "What happened at the border?" It was impossible for the royal Jiang family to suddenly show such kindness to him and give him the position of school chief so easily. The words of the imperial queen mother do have weight, but the harem cannot interfere in politics easily. No matter how filial the emperor was, he would not agree so easily. Otherwise, who is in charge of the Donghua Empire? So, something must have happened that he didn't know about. If it happened in Yinjing, it was impossible for him not to know about it. Therefore, the most likely thing is the border front thousands of miles away. The next words of the one-armed old man who walked out of the shadows of the yard confirmed his guess. The ancestors of various families suddenly united together and wanted to force the Jiang family to hand over their share of the territory and kick the Jiang family out. As a result, the people sent by the royal family were very passive. At the critical moment, the master spoke up to prevent the situation from becoming too embarrassing. However, the Jiang family also divided a lot of their territory shares for this purpose, which was able to appease each family. I see. Chen Beiyuan's eyes flashed slightly, a little surprised, but also a little understanding. But it didn't feel so outrageous. The Donghua Empire is a top power with a joint stock system. All the top aristocratic families are shareholders of the entire empire. Although the royal family Jiang is the largest, it does not mean that it can act arbitrarily. In the face of huge interests, it is normal for major families to join forces to attack the royal family. This time, the Qin family took half of the open border territory according to the rules. The Jiang family, on behalf of the royal family, cut off another half from the remaining half, and threw the rest to other aristocratic families. Those old monsters would be damned if they agreed. Your Jiang family is the boss of the empire and has the largest territory. Are you still competing for territory with smaller ones like us? Take a quarter without saying a word? The remaining quarter is thrown to us so much? Where do you feed meat bones to dogs? No, everyone will join forces to kick you out first. As for why not kick the Qin family out of the game? Are you crazy? If you do this, who will dare to expand the territory in the future? That means completely breaking the rules. This kind of bad start must not be opened. Some things must have a bottom line. Moreover, the ancestors of each family will definitely return to their families, and then the Chen family will have to guard the border. If aliens and ferocious beasts attack, what will you do? Chen Jian? Who can offend a local snake? As for kicking the Jiang family out, at most, it would violate the majesty of the royal family. An offense is an offense. Is it possible that the Jiang family can wipe out other families? The law does not hold everyone accountable. It has to be said that when it comes to interests, major aristocratic families really won't give too much face to the royal Jiang family. And the reason why the emperor nodded in agreement was also found. It's just because my old man said something at a critical moment. After all, it's all for profit. Miao territory. Several figures in black cloaks appeared on a high mountain, overlooking the lush and dense trees below and the cities hidden among them. In the dark night, The burning torches in the cities are like a winding dragon, fiercely frightening the coveters hiding in the dark. The howling wind made the leaves whistle, bringing with it wanton and crazy laughter, painful howls, and crazy roars in the distance. Harsh and humid environment, hard to prevent traps, elusive poisonous insects, similar people with evil intentions. The blessing of all factors created this chaotic and disorderly land beneath our feet. Here, human life is of the least value. Here is the Miao territory located in the south of the Donghua Empire. And Biyu looked at the familiar land in front of her, with a twisted and uncontrollable murderous intention on her cold and charming face. I'm back. By family ancestral hall. Because of Bai Ruowei's words. Bai Yuza, who had been kneeling in the ancestral hall for more than a month, finally ushered in the good day of being released after serving his sentence. Do you understand what you should do, and what you shouldn't do after you get out? Yes, yes, yes. I promise to monitor every move of my brother-in-law. If there is any trouble, I will report it to you as soon as possible. In front of his elder sister, Bai Yuza nodded as if it were a slap in the face, almost slapping his head a few times with excitement. At this moment, he was just like a monkey who had been suppressed for 500 years, almost going crazy from the pain. As long as you can let the monkey out of the mountain, you can do anything. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Donghua Academy became lively again. Today is the day when Chief Chen enters the Soul Beast Tower for a trial. Not only the senior leaders of the university, but also many students and exchange students from various countries are very concerned about it. Even some graduated seniors are returning to school one after another. I want to see this Chief Chen, who is said to be the youngest in history. Among these seniors, there are many top prodigies who are famous in the Donghua Empire. Bai Ruowei, Madman Zhu Wei Wushuang, Wang Daoxian, Yi Chun. Chapter 106 Soul Beast Tower. The trial begins. Chen Beiyuan's trial challenge almost shocked most of the top prodigies in the entire empire. These proud men all want to see what kind of person Chen Beiyuan is, who defeated Lin Jiuzhou and became the chief of Donghua Academy at the age of only 18. Many Donghua students present were looking at the majestic and unfathomable prodigy figures like mountains in amazement. Is that Senior Sister Bai? It is said that Senior Sister Bai was recognized as the most beautiful school beauty of the last Donghua Academy. She is also the most powerful among the 4 beauties of Yanjing. She has never failed. Hiss, is that crazy Zhu? His Zhu Yin fighting spirit is a real war beast. He has repeatedly fought the 7th grade beast with his body and beaten it to death. Even Principal Jiang praised it. Add. The man with a pale face, like a consumption ghost, is Wei Wushuang. The Wei family's puppetry skills are unparalleled in the world. It is said that he once appeared on the frontline battlefield, massacred an alien tribe, and personally peeled off the skin of a 7th grade alien and made it into a blood puppet. Wang Daoxian. Shouts of exclamation appeared one after another in the crowd. It was obvious that those present recognized the top prodigy ahead. It can be said that these people are all legends of the younger generation of the Donghua Empire, with brilliant and terrifying records. Everyone has the potential to become an 8th grade war emperor. In normal times, it would be extremely difficult for them to meet even one of them. But today, so many people came. Everyone knew very well that the reason why this situation was possible was because of Chief Chen. In a sense, Chen Beiyuan also belongs to the first rank of the empire's top prodigy. Because the pressure on these proud men of heaven was too strong. There was almost a vacuum area around their location, and no one dared to approach. Some who thought they were brave wanted to get closer and talk, but they were instantly overwhelmed by the terrifying pressure that came towards them and fainted on the spot. Ahem, cough, cough. The quality of Donghua students this year is somewhat uneven. It is much worse than ours. However, Chen Beiyuan is enough. The 18-year-old president of the academy is probably the youngest president in the history of Donghua Academy. I remember that the last president of Donghua Academy was Zhang Yunfan. He didn't become the president until he was 20 years old. Wei Wushuang, who looked pale and looked like a consumptive ghost, glanced at the fainting figures not far away and shook his head in disappointment. The Zhang Yunfan he calls is the eldest prince of the royal family, and at the same time, he is also the number 1 among the younger generation. He. I didn't expect that even Lin Jiuzhou would fall into his hands. Although Lin Jiuzhou is a bit annoying, his strength is not bad, but he was defeated within 10 moves. TSK, 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 TSK. I want to fight with him. Crazy Zhu, who was tall and burly, with his upper body bare and bronze skin exposed, grinned, revealing his big white teeth, and his 2 thick fists collided together. I wonder how many floors of the Soul Beast Tower he can pass. The 1st to 5th floors probably won't trouble him. The 6th floor will be more troublesome. As for the 7th floor, that's going to be tricky. That guy Zhang Yunfan failed before. It's the 7th floor. Since the establishment of Donghua Academy, no student has been able to pass the 7th level. Wearing simple Taoist uniforms and with a weathered face, Wang Daoxian's eyes seemed to contain some kind of divine light, and he said meaningfully. Several imperial prodigies next to him also nodded in admiration, obviously thinking that Chen Beiyuan would fail on the 7th floor. I think Beiyuan can beat the 7th floor, Bai Ruowei suddenly said. As soon as these words came out, the faces of the surrounding top prodigy changed slightly. Ruowei, are you serious? Yichen looked straight at Bai Ruowei with a look of suspicion on his face, obviously not believing it. In response, Bai Ruowei just smiled slightly, confidently, without any explanation. In an instant, the atmosphere at the scene fell into silence. Several imperial prodigy looked suspicious and disbelieving. They all know that Bai Ruowei possesses the Bai Zhe fighting spirit, is familiar with ghosts and gods, can communicate with all things, and can always see things that ordinary people can't imagine. Is it possible that what Chen Beiyuan showed before was not all his strength? Does he have something else to hide? Not only a few imperial prodigy were surprised. Even not far away, several senior leaders of the school headed by Vice President Liu had expressions of disbelief. A gentle and soft voice also appeared suddenly. I also have confidence in Beiyuan. The visitor was dressed in a snow-white dress with a dazzling fire phoenix embroidered on it. Every move he made was elegant and noble. Surprisingly, it was Zhang Yunhua. Ignoring the terrifying pressure around her, she easily walked to the front, side by side with Bai Ruowei. Those eyes as hot as flames looked directly at Bai Ruowei with a smile, as if with some provocation. Sister Bai, long time no see. It's been a long time indeed, Yunhua. Bai Ruowei hugged the snow-white fox, with a hint of smile on her cold and beautiful face. But this smile was a little cold. It was obvious that the two men had known each other for a long time. Everyone around them looked accustomed to the tit-for-tat confrontation between the two. At this moment, a burst of noise suddenly appeared, attracting everyone's attention. Click. The space in front suddenly solidified and shattered like a mirror, forming a void passage. Two figures walked out slowly. One person, with a Chinese character face, a solemn face, and the majesty of a man who has been in a high position for a long time, is clearly the principal Jiang Bai. One has a handsome face, fair skin, an evil blood dragon mark between his eyebrows, a smile on his lips, a large black robe, and a mysterious and strange demonic nature. He is none other than Chen Beiyuan. Wait, I've met Principal Jiang and Chief Chun. In an instant, everyone present showed excited and fanatical expressions on their faces, bowing to the two figures and saying hello. The thunderous sound instantly resounded throughout Donghua Academy. Even Bai Ruowei, Zhang Yunhua, Zhu Madman and others standing at the front lowered their heads slightly at this moment to show respect to the leader Jiang Bai. You know, Jiang Bai is not only the principal of Donghua Academy, but also an imperial prince and an 8th grade war emperor. This is an existence that is almost at the top of the empire and the top of the world. Some people looked at Chen Beiyuan, who was standing next to Jiang Bai, with a sense of surprise. It seems that Principal Jiang is somewhat close to Chen Beiyuan. Is it possible that the Jiang family and the Chen family? Yes. Some people's eyes changed instantly. Ha ha ha, I didn't expect to see so many old faces today, so I'm a little bit emotional. Ruowei, Wu Shuang, Daoxian, Yi Chun, you haven't been back for a long time. Okay, let's talk about old times and talk about it later. Let's deal with business first. Jiang Bai looked at the familiar faces in front of him, stroking his hands and laughing. As the words fell, the ground suddenly shook violently. Boom. A terrifying giant tower that was as black as ink and as huge as a mountain, with 8 floors and depicting various ferocious beasts and alien races, suddenly rose from the ground. This scene suddenly shocked countless people. A towering, giant peak, rising straight into the sky, appeared in front of everyone. The ferocious beasts and alien patterns carved on each floor of the Black Tower seemed to have come to life, exuding a terrifying and bloodthirsty murderous aura. This is the 8th grade magic weapon, Soul Beast Tower. Roar. Continuous vicious roars resounded from all levels of the tower, as if countless monsters were imprisoned inside. In an instant, many people present turned pale. Click. The door to the Soul Beast Tower is open. It was pitch black inside the gate, like a huge black mouth. Beiyuan, go. Yes, Uncle Jiang. Chen Beiyuan's face was calm, with a smile on his lips. His eyes paused for a moment on Bai Ruowei and others. Then, under the gaze of everyone, he strode towards the gate in front of him. Snapped. As soon as people entered, the door suddenly closed. Trial begins. Chapter 107, Part 1 snapped. As the door of the ferocious beast behind him closed, Chen Beiyuan felt that he was instantly surrounded by endless darkness. The low roars of ferocious beasts continued to reach his ears, and the rich and foul smell of blood instantly poured into his nose. It was as if there were countless pairs of peeping eyes staring at him in the darkness. Swish. A dazzling white light suddenly appeared. When Chen Beiyuan opened his eyes, he found himself in a dirty and damp, huge lair. The strong stench instantly assaulted the nostrils. Looking around, there were mutilated corpses and skeletons all around, which was very hideous and terrifying. Most of these corpses are old people, children, men. Among them, some male corpses had their lower body organs brutally cut off, and most of their flesh and blood was also cut off. Several cultivators who were obviously highly skilled in cultivation had their limbs nailed with several thick, iron nails, and fixed on wooden stakes. 2 thorns were nailed into both eyes, the teeth in the mouth were pulled out, and a bloody meat strip was stuffed. Looking around, the scene in front of me looks like purgatory on earth. But the strange thing is that there is no female body around. However, it is precisely because of this that it is even more terrifying. It's hard to imagine what those female humans were taken away for. Such a bloody and cruel scene is so real and shocking. First floor of Soul Beast Tower, Goblin Lair. Number of goblins, 38,416. Goblin, a low-level alien race, with deep intelligence and a strong desire to reproduce. It is good at capturing female creatures and invading them. As a mother body, it gives birth to offspring. Most of them are rank 1 alien races, and there are very few mutants. Note, no less than 1,000 Donghua people die at the hands of these aliens every year, and the number of missing people is countless. Trialist, kill them all. Countdown, 3 hours. A cold voice appeared in his mind out of thin air, carrying an unconcealable crazy killing intent. The smile on Chen Beiyuan's face gradually dissipated, and his face turned cold as he looked at the Donghua corpses in front of him. Soul Beast Tower. This 8th grade ferocious beast has the special ability to capture souls. In addition to being able to capture the souls of those ferocious beasts and alien races, it can also perfectly recreate what happened in the past. The scene in front of me is a real tragedy that happened in the Donghua Empire. This is a special world with ferocious beasts and alien races, and people die all the time, every day. Especially in those areas of the empire that are close to the borders, the rampage of alien ferocious beasts is even more unimaginable. As the young master of the Chen family, Chen Beiyuan was taken to the border to live for a period of time when he was young. Naturally, he has seen the dark side of the world. The Goblin Lair. In front of us is just the tip of the iceberg of darkness. Soul Beast Tower, in addition to allowing Donghua students to enhance their strength and fighting skills, also allows them to have a profound contact with the dark side of the world. How can this world be so beautiful? If it weren't for the soldiers who have been guarding the border and have been risking their lives, how could the current order, stability and prosperity? The trial begins. It fell with a cold voice. Goblin Lair experienced drastic changes in an instant. Gala, a larger goblin, suddenly walked out of the darkness, stared at Chen Beiyuan, and let out an excited and brutal roar, as if calling his comrades. A pair of evil eyes appeared from the darkness. Goblins with short stature, green skin, skinny skin, covered in animal skins, holding sticks, swords, and iron stones in their hands, rushed towards the invaders like crazy. Boom! Violent vibrations appeared throughout the lair, like thousands of troops. There are tens of thousands of goblins in the entire Goblin Lair, and most of them are rank 1s. Even a rank 2 warrior would be killed abruptly if he were here. Rank 3 war spirits may also perish without effective replenishment, and this is just the first floor of Soul Beast Tower. However, Chen Beiyuan was not moved at all by the greedy and crazy faces of the green-skinned goblins that were swarming from all directions. It's been a long time since I killed a foreigner. The last time I went to the border ranch, when I was 9 years old, was when I slaughtered a Tauren tribe. He looked calm, looking at the aliens around him as if they were nothing, and murmured to himself, "Bang!" Just when the leading goblin was less than 3 feet away from him, a terrifying prison-suppressing demonic energy instantly burst out from his body, and a pair of terrifying demonic hands as thick as mountains suddenly formed behind him. The 2 mountain-sized terrifying demonic hands, raised high, suddenly clenched their fists and smashed hard towards the Goblin Lair below. Boom! In an instant, the entire Goblin Lair was swallowed up and annihilated by the terrifying impact falling from the sky. Countless greedy and crazy goblins were instantly swallowed up by the violent impact, and were instantly drowned. In less than 3 seconds, tens of thousands of goblins hiding in the lair were killed on the spot. Swish! Chen Beiyuan suddenly felt a trace of soul power coming towards him, continuously strengthening the strength of his soul. The next moment, his figure suddenly disappeared. The first level of trial passed. Outside the tower, everyone present could see what was happening inside at this moment. When many people saw the environment inside the Goblin Lair and were frightened by the bloody scene, they also felt an unprecedented mix of shock and anger. In particular, the Donghua students present had a deeper hatred and understanding of those alien races and ferocious beasts. Not my family, its heart must be different. Seeing the expressions of Donghua students filled with indignation, shock, and anger, the higher-ups of the school present also sighed. The reason why Donghua students are organized to watch every trial is not just to let them deeply understand the cruelty of alien races and ferocious beasts. The flowers growing in the greenhouse cannot withstand the beating of wind and snow. You have to let them see the cruel side of this world. Soon, when Chen Beiyuan easily wiped out the goblin lair on the first floor, showing great power, he immediately aroused cheers from all the Donghua students in the audience. Even the foreign exchange students couldn't help but shout with excitement. In this world, the worship of the strong has already been deeply ingrained in everyone's genes. Chief Chen, Chief Chen, Chief Chen. Facing the excited juniors behind them, the top prodigies in the empire in front were not as happy as they imagined. Instead, they showed solemn expressions. The trial of Soul Beast Tower is not as simple as you think. It tests the all-round abilities and overall quality of the trialer. Although powerful combat skills can form the greatest power and be used once and for all, they consume a lot of fighting energy. Chen Beiyuan is too young. He can keep a goblin and recover the consumed battle energy within the 3 hours limit before entering the next level. In this way, he can keep himself as strong as possible. At its peak, there are a lot of alien ferocious beasts in the next few floors. If he acts recklessly like this, he will only suffer the consequences. That's right. He's still young and a bit impatient, which is normal. But I'm afraid that all his fighting energy will be exhausted before he reaches the 5th floor. Yi Chun had a playful expression on his face, obviously not agreeing with Chen Beiyuan's approach. At the same time, he also slightly showed some hostility towards Chen Beiyuan. Some time ago, his 5th brother had his 3rd limb broken off by a mysterious beast, which really brought shame on the Yi family. Explanation for Yi Chun. The people next to him all had non-committal expressions. Although what Yi Chun said was a bit unpleasant, it was indeed the case. After all, they had all suffered losses in this regard before. Only Bai Ruowei frowned slightly, but didn't say much. This seemingly subtle movement was clearly captured by Yi Chun. After all, most of his attention was on the White Fairy from beginning to end. Ruowei, do you have any other ideas? I have confidence in Beiyuan. Seeing the slight smile on Bai Ruowei's lips, Yi Chun's eyes flashed with surprise, and at the same time, he couldn't help but feel a little more jealous of Chen Beiyuan. In the last term, he tried to pursue the other party, but unfortunately, at that time, Fairy Bai had already set her sights on a certain little devil. Chapter 107, Part 2. After hearing Yi Chun's explanation, the Donghua students and exchange students from various countries behind him also exclaimed one after another and began to worry about Chen Beiyuan. Lin Xiao, who was standing in the crowd, had a sneer on his face. He was obviously very interested in seeing Chen Beiyuan eat. At the same time, he was also deducing in his mind which level he could reach. 2nd floor of Soul Beast Tower, Ghoul Cave. Number of ghouls, 3,000. Infected? Ghoul, low-level alien race, human-like intelligence, good at disguise, possessing the ability to infect, can control weak creatures, turn them into slaves, and manipulate them at will. Note: in the year 895 of the imperial calendar, an underground cave was discovered beneath Lingbei City. There are 3,000 ghouls surviving, and the number of humans who have been transformed into infected people in the entire city is incalculable. Some infected people also serve as a cover. Trialist, kill them all. Countdown, 3 hours. Boom. A pair of heavenly demons' hands slammed down hard, instantly killing all the ghouls and infected people living in the underground cave on the spot. Past the 2nd level trial, Chen Beiyuan was dressed in a black robe, with his hands behind his back, and disappeared from the spot. Seeing Chen Beiyuan being so stubborn, consuming battle energy wantonly and using powerful combat skills, the sneer on Yi Chun's lips was almost no longer concealed. The other top prodigies in the empire next to them all frowned slightly and said nothing, obviously not very optimistic about it. Behind him, many Donghua students gradually had a bad feeling, but Lin Xiao, who was standing in the crowd, sneered again and again. Bai Ruowei, Zhang Yunhua, and Leng Ruobing still have great confidence in Chen Beiyuan. The first two are aware of Chen Beiyuan's character. Since they dare to do this, they must have the confidence. The reason why the latter has confidence is purely because of Chen Beiyuan's continuous PUA from body to spirit. He only feels that Chen Beiyuan is an almost omnipotent existence. Zhang Bai, who was standing at the front, remained silent from beginning to end, just silently looking at the Soul Beast Tower in front of him, as if he was expecting something. 3rd floor of Soul Beast Tower, Deep Sea Dragon Lizard. Number of Deep Sea Dragon Lizards, 1,800. Deep Sea Dragon Lizard people, low-level alien race, ferocious and cruel, with hunting consciousness. They often manipulate fish in the sea to lure fishing boats out to sea. Once lured to a remote corner, they will be slaughtered. Note: in the year 899 of the imperial calendar, a tragedy occurred outside the imperial waters. Several fishing boats were massacred. When the imperial navy arrived, hundreds of Donghua fishermen became alien food. Trialist, kill them all. Countdown, 3 hours. In a remote sea area, several fishing boats were parked in place. The huge dragon lizards with their heads covered in scales were tearing apart human corpses wantonly, and the divided pieces of flesh were continuously thrown into the sea, dyeing the entire sea red. Suddenly, a terrifying sense of crisis hit, and the leader of the dragon lizards suddenly let out a scream similar to dragon race. I don't know when a giant palm burning with terrifying demonic flames appeared in the sky and struck it down hard. Boom. Several fishing boats and the surrounding sea were instantly burned by the terrifying high temperature, and a dragon-headed lizard was instantly reduced to ashes. A huge palm print was revealed across the entire sea surface. Chen Beiyuan stood in the sky with a stern face, not even looking at the scene below, and disappeared immediately. Past the third-level trial. 4th floor of Soul Beast Tower. Medusa Tribe. Number of Medusas, 416. Boom. The terrifying demonic flames falling from the sky instantly swallowed up the entire forest swamp, and Medusa, who was hiding deep in the swamp, was instantly killed on the spot. Chen Beiyuan put his hands behind his back, his eyes were clear, and he ignored the genocidal Medusa behind him, but looked at the human skeletons at his feet. Soon, he disappeared on the 4th floor. The prison-suppressing demonic sutra, practiced by Chen Beiyuan, made his demonic energy richer and faster than ordinary practitioners. Coupled with the Zhuang Dao Jing, it can continuously plunder the spirit qi between heaven and earth and transform it into prison-suppressing demonic qi. It can be said that the demonic energy he consumed may not be recovered as fast as it could be. Is the demonic energy exhausted? That doesn't exist. Chapter 108, breaking through 6 floors in a row. Shocked the whole audience. 5th floor of Soul Beast Tower. Ghost King Zombie of Yudu. Number of Ghost Zombie Kings. 1. Ghost Zombie Puppets. 336. Ghost King. 5th grade beast. Possesses partial human-like intelligence, is cunning and evil, has a powerful body, has a ghost form, and has special abilities such as invisibility, walking through walls, and escaping from the ground. This beast likes the blood of the strong. Note. In the year 901 of the imperial calendar, lifespan, the patriarch of a small family in Yudu, was about to expire. He intended to extend lifespan through evil means. He chose to inject corpse poison and ghost poison into his body with the intention of transforming into a mutant, but in the end he failed and became a ghost. King Zombie, and killed the family's children, setting off a wave of zombies. Trialist, kill them all. Countdown, 3 hours. Boom. A dark and silent mansion. Chen Beiyuan stood expressionless, holding an ugly, humanoid monster in his right hand. Under his feet were the remains of puppets everywhere. Click. The Ghost Zombie King, who once caused a wave of corpses in the remote cities of the Donghua Empire, had his neck broken directly. The violent demonic flames burned it instantly. Past the 5th level trial. As Chen Beiyuan pushed forward without changing his expression, he unleashed powerful combat skills wantonly, killing the ferocious beasts and aliens on every floor. Everyone outside the tower fell into a deathly silence at this moment. It seems like something is wrong. A pair of strange eyes began to focus on Yichun. Yichun, who had just shouted that Chen Beiyuan was too young, now began to look stiff. Maybe he's just holding on, let's see. 6th floor of Soul Beast Tower. Immortality Club. The Blood Duke. 1. The Blood Marquis. 10. The Blood Earl. 51. The Blood Viscount. 106. The Blood Baron. 217. The Blood Servant. Vampire. One of the apex-level alien races in the Western Kingdom. They like to eat the blood of strong men. They have strong recovery power and extremely high potential. There has been a terrifying existence comparable to the 8th grade War Emperor. Note. In the year 912 of the imperial calendar, an existence called the Immortality Club appeared in the Magic City. A vampire duke from the west used the alien lifespan to lure many big shots who were not close to death to join, and served as a cover for him. And it grew stronger step by step, and was later discovered and wiped out by the Empire, including all the tribes involved. Trialist, kill them all. Countdown, 3 hours. Immortality Club. At this moment, the Blood Clan, wearing gorgeous clothes, noble temperament and long fangs, are wantonly sucking the fresh blood of the beauty in their arms. These people are all famous figures in the Demon City. It's just that at this moment, they no longer have the reserve and majesty in the outside world. Instead, they are like beasts with their masks of hypocrisy torn off, enjoying their desires wantonly. Enjoy it as much as you want, my servants. You will all become the nourishment for me to be promoted to the Blood Prince. An elderly gentleman with a cane and a western face was looking at the primitive and crazy scene below with a playful expression, and a crazy smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Snapped. A hand suddenly patted his shoulder, and the expression on the elderly gentleman's face suddenly froze. Behind him, a figure in black robe appeared. His faint eyes were staring at the absurd scene below. Although I have known for a long time that everything is reproduced, it is still a little annoying. After all, this is a case that actually happened. A beast from the west dares to stir up trouble in the Donghua Empire? Boom! A huge explosion sounded on the second floor, instantly frightening many vampires below. Before they could react, a round object was suddenly thrown from the second floor. Snapped. It was a human head that was burnt black and turned into charcoal, and its appearance could not be seen clearly. Chen Beiyuan stood on the second floor, overlooking the panicked faces and dirty scenes below, his eyes cold and full of murderous intent. You're making me very unhappy. The terrifying demonic thoughts were released suddenly, and the violent demonic flames suddenly erupted, forming a flame storm, which instantly swallowed up the entire Eternal Life Club. Boom! The scorching dark purple demon flame shot straight into the sky, instantly illuminating the darkness of the entire demon city. Past the 6th level trial, outside the tower, seeing the terrifying demonic flames on the 6th floor that almost shot straight into the sky, illuminating the entire city. Everyone present could not help but twitch at this moment. Even a fool can tell something is wrong. Chen Beiyuan had his hands behind his back from beginning to end, with a calm expression on his face, as if he had crushed a group of ants to death by accident. Even though he used powerful combat skills many times in a row, he didn't even take a breath. There is nothing so-called excessive consumption in this. It's obvious that someone is kidding. For a moment, pairs of strange eyes focused on Yi Chun. It seems that this guy is just showing off. In an instant, many people began to say strange things in an angry manner. Who just said that Chief Chen is too young? Don't blame the uneven road if you can't do it yourself. Hey, what do you know? The gap between people is different. Maybe because they are not good at it, they think that others are not good at it either. Some people are used to pretending. I'm afraid they never thought that sooner or later they would pretend to be themselves. Isn't that just nonsense? It's just nonsense. My sister. Chief Chen is awesome. Chief Chen is awesome. The voices in the crowd behind him became louder and louder. Among them, a certain little devil of the Bai family who jumped up and down was the most active, almost pointing at someone's nose and scolding them. Obviously, my brother-in-law, who had just been released from prison, was almost suffocated during this period. Now if you catch a bastard who dares to insult your brother-in-law, you still have to curse him to death? Anyway, my eldest sister is right in front. So how can that bastard come and K him? As long as it has anything to do with his brother-in-law, he has nothing to fear. Yi Chen's expression instantly turned livid as he stood in front. My fists are hard. Chapter 109 Disaster Beast Fight. Yi Chen was so angry. I can't wait to slap those slanderous bastards behind me in the face. But when he saw that the leader was the little devil of the Bai family, he immediately looked at Bai Ruowei next to him. My little brother is naughty and has a wild temper. I will criticize him when I get home. It's okay. It's just a child. It's all trivial. Seeing that Bai Ruowei had no intention of stopping him, Yi Chen twitched the corners of his mouth and then squeezed out a smile, showing off his gentlemanly demeanor. Yi Chen knew very well that Bai Ruowei was obviously dissatisfied with what he had just said. Therefore, there is no stopping his brother from saying weird things behind his back. He even blocked him with words. This undoubtedly made him feel more aggrieved than ever before. He never expected that the slap in the face would come so quickly. Just now, I swore that Chen Beiyuan was young, but now he has become a joke. You know, those behind you include not only Donghua students, but also exchange students from colleges from various countries. Now, I feel so embarrassed. Moreover, it was still thrown overseas. At this moment, Yi Chen was not the only one who felt aggrieved. Lin Xiao, who was standing in the crowd, looked extremely sad at this moment. The whole person felt as if a basin of cold water had been poured on him, and his whole body was as cold as ice. Just now, he secretly deduced it. It is expected that it will take him 5 or 6 hours to break through the 6th floor of Soul Beast Tower, during which he will have to rest for at least a while to regain his fighting spirit. As a result, it only took Chen Beiyuan less than 5 minutes from entering the tower to now. The difference between these two is somewhat exaggerated. It is not an exaggeration to say that it is heaven and earth. In vain, he just thought that they were not much different from each other. But now it seems that this gap seems a bit too big. What he just did was like a clown. It's true that a hero comes from a young age. Lin Jiuzhou was not unjustly defeated. Such a strong and almost endless amount of demonic energy, coupled with his powerful combat skills and physical fitness, as well as his terrifying concealment ability, it is definitely a nightmare for countless people. Those ferocious beasts and alien races were all killed before they even discovered his existence. Wang Daoxian, who was wearing a black Taoist robe, had a kind face, and his eyes seemed to be filled with divine light, suddenly spoke. His face was full of emotion. At this moment, he could roughly understand Lin Jiuzhou's frustration at that time. With this magical skill in hand, it is indeed more powerful than a tiger, and it is easy to defeat enemies. Those ferocious beasts and aliens were killed on the spot before they could react from the beginning to the end, leaving them with no power to fight back. Ahem, cough, cough. That hidden magic is probably more terrifying than some divine abilities. If Beiyuan is willing to delve into the art of assassination, it may be enough to scare countless people. After all, no one wants to face an invisible opponent. Except for Bai Ruowei, it is difficult for any of us to decipher such mysterious techniques. Wei Wuxiang coughed several times with a pale face and spoke in a weak voice. Although he didn't know the name of Azhuang Dao Jing, he could roughly feel the terror of these techniques. As soon as these words came out, the expressions of everyone around him changed. Even Lin Jiuzhou suffered a big loss from Luang Dao Jing before and could only be beaten passively. At this moment, they really don't have a good solution. Ha ha ha, it seems that the white beauty can restrain your fiancé. Madman Zhu grinned and laughed. Jiang Yunhua frowned slightly, but even if he relaxed, he obviously knew that what Wei Wuxiang and Madman Zhu said was true. Bai Ruowei, who possesses the Bei's fighting spirit, can communicate with the ghosts and gods of heaven and earth, know the before and after, and judge the good and bad. Once you take action, it is like the help of heaven and earth, ghosts and gods. You can predict all dangers and avoid them in advance. Most of the people who fought with her didn't even touch her sides and received a beating first. In a sense, most of Bai Ruowei's abilities are somewhat restrained by Chen Beiyuan's. Chen Beiyuan's Zhuang Dao Jing may have miraculous effects on other people, but it may not work on Bai Ruowei. For a moment, Bai Ruowei became the center of attention, and all eyes were focused on her. Leng Ruobing, who was standing in the crowd at the back, could not help but clenched his fists tightly when he saw Bai Ruowei becoming the focus of the audience, with a look of unwillingness in his eyes. Regardless of her cultivation, family background, or background, she is no match for him. The gap is too big. At this moment, she couldn't even stand at the forefront. Faced with everyone's gaze, Bai Ruowei looked very calm. She looked at the 7th floor of the Soul Beast Tower with a pair of shining star eyes, and a smile appeared on her gentle face, as if she was expecting something. In the past 100 years, no one among the younger generation has passed through the 7th floor of the Soul Beast Tower. Even Jiang Yunfan was defeated in front of that ferocious beast. Speaking of which, the ferocious beast, on the 7th floor of the Soul Beast Tower has quite a connection with Chen Beiyuan. Wang Daoxian suddenly spoke. That disaster beast is not simple. Many people suffered great losses in its hands back then. Even those who are at the peak of the War Emperor may not be its opponent. Although Chen Beiyuan is powerful, he may not be able to deal with it. A sneer appeared at the corner of Yi Chen's mouth. Perhaps he had been slapped too hard just now. At this moment, he was eager to regain some face. The Scourge Beast on the 7th floor is incomparable to the alien beasts on the first 6 floors. In his calculations, the probability of Chen Beiyuan passing was less than 10%. Because it comes from the crushing of strength. I believe in him. Bai Ruowei and Jiang Yunhua suddenly said in unison. Such a firm voice also made people around him a little stunned. The smile on Yi Chen's face froze instantly. 7th floor of Soul Beast Tower, catastrophic beast fight. Number of disaster beasts, 1. Disaster Beast and Disaster Beast. The legendary Disaster Beast will bring disaster to the earth when it appears. It looks like a black dog with a long tail and shiny fur. It can breathe fire and like to eat flint. Note. In the year 911 of the imperial calendar, a battle between beasts and beasts broke out in a city in the Donghua Empire, causing natural disasters and devastation. At a critical juncture, the commander of the 3rd War Zone, Chen Zhiqing, led the first group army to appear and cut him into pieces and kill him. Trialist, kill it. Countdown, 3 hours. In an abandoned wreckage that had been reduced to ruins and tortured by natural disasters, Chen Beiyuan stood in a black robe, with his hands behind his back, without any intention of hiding anything, and looked at the ferocious beast in front of him with a faint look. In front of him, a huge, dark, dog-like, terrifying evil beast, with 3 long tails was staring at him, its eyes filled with murderous intent. This evil beast is clearly the Disaster Beast. 7th grade beast. Chen Beiyuan is no stranger to this trouble. It can even be said that he is very familiar with it. Because this Disaster Beast was killed by his father himself, and then Chen Zhiqing gave its skull as a gift to the young man. Today, Fudo's skull is still placed in Chen Beiyuan's room as one of many precious collections. I didn't expect that I would be able to see you. Chapter 110 Fish and Divine Ability. New trouble. In a sense, Chen Beiyuan and Hu Do are also destined. When he was young, he would take out Fudo's skull and play with it, and occasionally kick it like a ball, so he was not unfamiliar with it. Unfortunately, I have never seen a living creature. Now, it's just about time to see it. However, this thing is not simple. On the surface, it is just a 7th grade beast, but its true combat power is more terrifying than most 7th grade beasts. Even the King of War may not be his opponent at the peak of his powers. My father spent a lot of effort cleaning it up back then. In a sense, it should be the strongest opponent I have ever faced. Before, the top prodigies in the Empire suffered huge losses at the hands of this beast, resulting in a disastrous defeat. I just don't know what it feels like to twist off the head of this thing and kick it. Before, all I played with was a skull. At this moment, Fu Do, who was stared at by Chen Beiyuan's strange eyes, felt an inexplicable sense of weirdness and horror. For some reason, it always felt that the way Chen Beiyuan looked at it was very strange, especially when it was always hovering around its head. Fu Do suddenly became angry. As a beast of disaster, it would not tolerate a human imp looking at it like this. Ouch! It resembled a giant black dog and let out an angry howl. There were scorching sparks in its breath. The shiny black hair on its body gradually glowed red, and a terrifying flame ray suddenly burst out from its mouth and headed towards Chen Beiyuan. The violent flame rays burned the air instantly, and even the earth was scorched black. The speed of its explosion was even more terrifying, burning everything in sight in an instant. Fu Do is known as the Beast of Fire, the Beast of Disaster, and the Beast of Ominousness. The fire contained in its body is enough to burn the earth and cause natural disasters. It is a real evil beast. In an instant, the lightning-fast flame rays swallowed up Chen Beiyuan in an instant. Before Fu Do's ugly dog face showed a cold expression, the situation suddenly changed drastically. Bang! A tall figure wearing blood-colored evil dragon armor suddenly rushed out of the terrifying flames and appeared in front of him despite the terrifying high-temperature impact. An extremely evil face covered with scarlet dragon scales instantly appeared in its sight. You were so enthusiastic when we first met. I like you more and more, bitch. Fu Do's ferocious and ugly dog face suddenly changed, and he felt that the weak human being in front of him suddenly became extremely ferocious and violent, as if his disguise had been torn off. Boom! Just like a giant dragon hit him head-on, Fu Do suddenly let out a painful howl, and the bones on his body creaked faintly, and he was immediately hit and flew out. Although he was a little playful in his heart, Chen Beiyuan was still very cautious about the living beast in front of him. As soon as he made his move, he used the trump card of Blood Dragon transformation. Bang! A pair of thick arms covered with scarlet dragon scales instantly locked the head of Fu Do with terrifying force and slammed it to the ground hard. Boom! A huge deep pit was suddenly smashed into the ground. Take a deep breath. It's okay. It's normal to feel dizzy. I'll teach you a method. Just stop breathing. It'll be fine soon. Chen Beiyuan was riding on Fu Do's back, and his thick arms covered with scarlet dragon scales tightly strangled its neck, deeply embedded in its flesh and blood. Immediately, its eyes widened and its bones made a crackling sound. Clang, clang, clang. The sharp claws scratched Chen Beiyuan's body crazily, leaving deep claw marks, and the seemingly indestructible dragon scales gradually began to have cracks. 3 thick black tails suddenly came from behind and instantly wrapped around Chen Beiyuan's head and neck, squeezing crazily as if to strangulate. But even so, Chen Beiyuan still didn't have the slightest idea of letting go. His thick arms became harder and harder with such terrifying force that they even pressed the scarlet dragon scales covering them into tiny cracks, deeply embedded into the flesh and blood of Fu Do's neck. The terrifying prison-suppressing demonic energy instantly turned into dark purple demonic flames, pouring into the wound on Fu Do's neck, burning crazily, and the power to suppress it. Bang! Bang! A strange and pungent smell of meat instantly filled the pit. Low screams began to appear in the pit. Fu Do, who was stunned by a series of brutal attacks, was already dizzy with stars in his eyes. For a moment, it was hard to tell who was the ferocious beast and who was the human being. What the hell is this human being? How can the physical body be stronger than the ferocious beast? He moves his hands like a mad dog. Perhaps sensing that death was coming, Fu Do began to go crazy, scratching harder and harder. He actually tore off the scarlet dragon scales from Chen Beiyuan's body, leaving bloody scratches. The 3 long black tails on his neck were entangled harder, and the feeling of squeezing and suffocation became more intense. However, the severe pain in his body actually inspired Chen Beiyuan's ferocity after entering Blood Dragon transformation. The already thick arms instantly swelled again. Click, click. With a crackling sound, a huge, ugly dog head was forcibly twisted off, including the skin and flesh. The claws that were clawing wildly and the 3 thick tails that were squeezing suddenly stiffened, became weak, and fell down. Call, call, call. Chen Beiyuan gasped, ignoring the bloody scratches on his body. He looked at the ugly dog head in his hand and the huge corpse under him, but there was no joy in his eyes. He knew very well that this thing wouldn't die that easily. Bang! At the moment when Fu Do died, its body suddenly expanded, and the terrifying flames hidden in its body exploded instantly. Boom! The terrifying explosion enveloped the entire city in an instant, and the high temperature of the flames swept in all directions, turning it into scorched earth. In the sky, Chen Beiyuan's figure was suspended in midair, as if he knew it in advance and avoided self-destruction. Tread, tread, tread. Under his gaze, a new disaster appeared in the charred pit. This new Fudo is a bit bigger than the one just now, and its aura has become even more terrifying. A pair of cruel and bloodthirsty eyes stared at Chen Beiyuan's figure, full of malice. Was it resurrected? However, this is just the beginning. The next scene is truly shocking. I saw that one of the 3 thick tails on the back of the reborn Fudo suddenly fell down and turned into a round ball of meat. Tear. A Fudo that was not much different from the one before actually struggled and tore out of the mass of flesh. 2 beasts, one large and one small, appeared directly in Chen Beiyuan's sight. 2 pairs of ferocious and hateful eyes stared at him, wanting to tear him into pieces. Chen Beiyuan is not surprised by this. When his father Chen Zhiqing gave him the disaster skull, he naturally mentioned the horror of this disaster beast. This disaster beast has a fission divine ability. After being killed, it will self-destruct and resurrect, becoming even more terrifying in strength. At the same time, one of the tails on its back will fall off, forming a new individual. And this is the reason why Chen Beiyuan said that even the peak war emperor may not be able to obtain it. Every time you kill it, it will become stronger and a new disaster beast will be born. If you want to kill this thing completely, you must kill its body 3 times in a row before you can kill it. The game has just begun. Chapter 111, Despicable Humans. The game has just begun. Chen Beiyuan looked down at the 2 disaster beasts, one large and one small, and grinned with a cold smile. The bloody wounds on his body had quickly formed scabs, and the torn scarlet dragon scales had grown back and returned to their original shape. The ferocious beast divine ability derived from the Blood Dragon Emperor not only gave Chen Beiyuan power and defense comparable to that of the Blood Dragon clan, but also naturally had terrifying resilience. This is why Chen Beiyuan dared to fight the disaster beast head-on. With a terrifying physique comparable to dragon race, coupled with human race's fighting spirit system, his combat power can no longer be calculated based on pure realm. At this moment, with the support of many trump cards, he has the power to fight even when facing the 2 7th-grade beasts below. Roar! Roar! Below, 2 beasts, one large and one small, suddenly let out a low roar as they fought, and hot saliva flowed from their mouths, dripping onto the ground and suddenly melting into pits of different sizes. Human, I'm going to tear you apart. The leader of the group, Fudo, stared at the human beings in the sky with malicious eyes, and actually spoke human words and let out an angry roar. As a high-level ferocious beast, Fudo naturally has human-like intelligence and can speak human words. Then give it a try. Chen Beiyuan sneered and showed no signs of weakness. He actually took the initiative and attacked and killed the 2 beasts. This time, in the face of Chen Beiyuan's active attack, the leader Fudo did not give in at all. After the resurrection, the huge beast's body was enlarged with muscles and knots, and the dark and shiny fur was somewhat deformed, and the dark hair stood on end. As strong as a steel needle, bang! Its body suddenly glowed with red light, and then burst into dark orange flames containing terrifying power. In an instant, it turned into a terrifying behemoth with a fiery entanglement. It stepped hard, leaving a deep black mark on the ground. Driven by the terrifying energy, it headed towards Chen Beiyuan. The sharp canine teeth glowed as brightly as lava. Boom! A man and a beast actually collided head-on, and the violent impact caused instantly swept across all directions, raising everything around them to the ground. The dark purple magic flame and the dark orange animal fire are fighting each other. The 2 terrifying flames can be said to be unwilling to give in to each other. Its terrifying high temperature easily melts everything around it. Rumble. The horrific aftermath of the battle swept across all directions instantly. The resurrected Fudo body is obviously much stronger than before. Not only can he not lose in a head-on battle with Chen Beiyuan, but he even has a tendency to suppress him. At this moment, another fission clone that was similar to the one from just now suddenly attacked Chen Beiyuan from behind, trying to disembowel him. Obviously, it never intended to fight alone in the first place. Swish! At the critical moment, a dark ring on Chen Beiyuan's right hand suddenly trembled, and turned into a several-foot-tall troll puppet with a green face and fangs, holding a giant stick, and a metallic luster all over its body. It attacked and attacked behind him. Bump away. This was the 7th-grade troll puppet that Chen Zhiqing had found for him from the Wei family. The thick giant stick hit the Fudo clone hard and stopped it immediately. Chen Beiyuan knew very well that the troll puppet was a dead thing after all, and it would definitely not be able to stop the Dodo clone. However, it would be nice if we could stop it for a short while. Otherwise, if he was attacked from both sides, he might be in big trouble. However, Chen Beiyuan's spirit partitioning was found an opportunity by the Fudo Numenon. Roar. The terrifying beast entangled by the flames suddenly let out a bloodthirsty roar, withstood a heavy punch, opened its mouth filled with flames, and bit Chen Beiyuan's shoulder fiercely with its bloody mouth exuding terrifying heat. The sharp canine teeth instantly penetrated the lute's bones. A terrifying high temperature instantly swept through the body, and a meaty aroma instantly poured into the nasal cavity. Fu Dou's ugly dog face instantly showed a hint of excitement and bloodthirsty expression, like an evil beast that had bitten its prey. A pair of ferocious animal eyes with a hint of joking suddenly looked at Chen Beiyuan's face, hoping to see a trace of pain. But what shocked it was that all it saw was Chen Beiyuan's calm face. Not good. A creepy feeling suddenly emerged. A pair of thick and powerful arms covered with scarlet dragon scales hugged its neck again, locking it tightly so that it could not move. Unnew. Chen Beiyuan shouted loudly. The blood dragon mark between his eyebrows suddenly glowed with an evil light. Roar. The huge majestic dragon head suddenly appeared out of thin air, letting out a dragon roar that resounded throughout the world. The terrifying dragon power instantly made Fu Dou's struggling figure freeze. Click. The locked Fu Dou was bitten by the awakened little silly dragon, anew, like a prey. The beast's body made of steel was like a layer of slightly tough cowhide. Easy penetration. Bang. Under the huge pressure, Fu Dou's beast body was instantly bitten and his flesh and blood splattered. The only ugly dog head left in the battle between the beasts and beasts looked at the human in front of them in disbelief. Are you ***king mean to me? I haven't even shown my strength yet, and you're here to show off? Despicable humans. This is called a war that never tires of deceit. Chen Beiyuan sneered, and his strong arms instantly grabbed its upper and lower jaws. Tear. A terrifying explosion of force. The huge, ugly dog's head was torn in half. Boom. As the main body died again, the Fu Dou clone, entangled by the troll puppet not far away, suddenly froze, and immediately began to expand crazily. Boom. The horrific self-destruction occurred again. This time self-destruction was 10 times more terrifying than before. The city that had been reduced to ruins instantly began to vibrate crazily. Chen Beiyuan was well prepared, but he took back the troll puppet in advance and rode on the little silly dragon anew, avoiding Fu Dou's dying counterattack. Soon, Fu Dou, who died twice, was resurrected again. His body was more than a circle larger than before, and his aura had reached the peak of 7th grade ferocious beasts. The only 2 thick black tails left behind him fell off one again and began to fission, turning into a round ball of meat. Tear. A fissioned Fu Dou clone emerged from the mass of flesh and was about to let out a low and vicious roar when it was swatted away by a dragon tail falling from the sky. Before Fu Dou's body could react, Chen Beiyuan, the little silly dragon, and the troll puppet surrounded it and blocked all the ways. 3 pairs of cold and playful eyes instantly focused on it. The originally arrogant disaster beast Huidu trembled, and his sinister expression with bared teeth instantly solidified. You like group fights, don't you? It's okay. We can play slowly. Chen Beiyuan had a kind expression on his face, looked at the stiff dog face in front of him, and said kindly, No. Chapter 112 Critical Point. Boom. Outside the tower, everyone fell into a deathly silence. A pair of stunned eyes were looking at the absurd scene on the 7th floor. No one expected that the disaster beast Fu Dou on the 7th floor would be tricked so badly by Chen Beiyuan, and was killed twice in a row. What's even more outrageous is that the disaster beast Fu Dou, who has been resurrected twice in a row, is being brutally beaten and ravaged at the moment. Chen Beiyuan, along with the little silly dragon anew and the troll puppet, surrounded him and gave him a blast. Among the 3 figures, the 7th grade puppet of the troll puppet has the highest level, but the weakest combat power. The little silly dragon anew, as the reborn, blood-evil dragon emperor, is now at the peak of 6th grade beasts, but his true combat power is more ferocious than most 7th grade beasts. Chen Beiyuan seems to be at the lowest level, just the peak of 5th grade battle commander, but when combined with his true combat power and trump cards, he is the strongest. This beast with fish and divine ability, Fu Dou, is unlucky today. He was almost beaten to the point of being unable to fight back. If it hadn't been for its rough skin and thick flesh, it would have been beaten to death long ago. What makes it even more annoying is that Chen Beiyuan is so poisonous. From the fight to the present, this scourge beast has been poisoned with at least a dozen kinds of toxins. Its combat power is rapidly weakening, and it is approaching the edge of death step by step. And the fissioned Fu Dou clone wants to help whenever it gets close. Either he will get a dragon's tail kick from Anu, or he will get a heavy punch from Chen Beiyuan, or he will get a stick from the troll puppet. Anyway, Chen Beiyuan's goal is Fu Dou's true body. As for the fissioned clone, sorry, Once the main body dies, the clone will also die. From the beginning, Fudo's fate was doomed. Is this the divine ability of his body that he showed before? He is actually able to fight ferocious beasts with his own strength. It's so terrifying. The troll puppet seems to be the craftsmanship of the Wei family. Over the years, the Wei family has rarely leaked puppets to the outside world. Gulu, with such a terrifying dragon roar and the pressure that attacks the soul, this is probably a pure-blooded dragon race. Chen Beiyuan actually has a pure-blood dragon pet? The pure-blooded dragon race is infinitely stronger than the ordinary ferocious alien beasts. They are both terrifying beings that can fight across levels. The combat power of the 6th grade mutant blood dragon is no less than that of the 7th grade ferocious beast. Dragon race is famously proud. Most dragon races would rather die than succumb to humans and sign a blood oath contract. There are still so many trump cards. Can Chief Chen really be able to beat the 7th floor? In the past 100 years, almost no one of the younger generation has reached the 7th level. If Chief Chen can pass, I'm afraid that his status as the number 1 person of the younger generation will be completely confirmed. Everyone present was shocked and exclaimed one after another. It was obvious that they did not expect that Chen Beiyuan had so many trump cards hidden away. Judging from this trend, Chen Beiyuan has a great chance of reaching the 7th level, and this will undoubtedly refresh the record of the past century. This monster. Lin Xiao, who was hidden in the crowd, started to twitch at the corner of his mouth at this moment. He was glad that he did not have a rash conflict with Chen Beiyuan when he was at the Long family's ancestral residence. Otherwise, he would definitely be the one who suffered the big loss. Damn it! Compared to Lin Xiao's secret rejoicing, Yi Chen's face in front was completely stiff and he fell into a dead silence. There was no doubt that the scene in front of him was like a slap on his face. Just now, I said that Chen Beiyuan could not pass the 7th floor, but in the blink of an eye, the beast of disaster was almost beaten to death by Chen Beiyuan. The continuous slaps in the face undoubtedly made him, the young master of the Yi family, a little embarrassed. Fortunately, everyone's attention was focused on the Soul Beast Tower at this moment, and they didn't pay much attention to him. With such terrifying strength, I'm afraid Zhang Yunfan may not be his opponent. I'm afraid the title of number 1 among the younger generation will soon change hands. The young king predicted by the Lord of Heavenly Secrets Pavilion turned out to be true. Wang Daoxian had complicated eyes and couldn't help but sigh. The other top prodigy around them looked at the fierce battle on the 7th floor with solemn expressions, silently, as if by acquiescence. Although they don't want to admit it, at this moment they don't have much confidence in the young man who is more than 10 years younger than them. Beiyuan. Leng Ruobing looked at the domineering figure with a look of obsession. His eyes were filled with fascination, and his body couldn't help but tremble. Bai Ruowei looked at the battle on the 7th floor. Although there was a hint of surprise in her eyes, she was more calm. She had known about the existence of the little silly dragon Anu for a long time, so it didn't seem to be a big surprise. The only thing she didn't expect was Chen Beiyuan's own terrifying combat power and many other trump cards. At this moment, she was both relieved and a little regretful. Fortunately, the little guy has finally grown up. Unfortunately, his growth rate was so fast that she was caught off guard. Deep in her heart, she had some dark thoughts, wanting to capture Beiyuan and ravage her. But now it seems that this idea may be difficult to realize in the short term. Different from Bai Ruowei's complicated thoughts, Zhang Yunhua's eyes at this moment were filled with excitement and confusion. Especially when she looked at Chen Beiyuan's strong body, she couldn't help but recall some of the previous scenes in her mind. The fire poison that had just been suppressed in the body began to grow again unconsciously. Jiang Bai ignored the astonished and shocked expressions of the prodigy behind him. His dark eyes stared directly at the little silly dragon Anu on the 7th floor, and a trace of such an expression flashed across his solemn face. It was obvious that the 8th grade war emperor, who was born in the Jiang family, had seen something. Human, I want to die with you. Hu Dou, who was completely at a disadvantage, was completely desperate. Knowing that he would definitely die, he chose to self-destruct without hesitation, wanting to drag Chen Beiyuan in front of him to die with him. Its body surface erupted with terrifying high temperatures, and its pores leaked a liquid similar to lava. It actually forced the troll puppet and the little silly dragon Anu back, and rushed towards Chen Beiyuan. Certainly, the rapidly expanding lava beast was suddenly frozen in midair at the moment it was about to explode. I could only watch with dizzy eyes as Chen Beiyuan, who was very close at hand, calmly dodged away. No! Boom! The horrific self-destruction instantly swept through the entire abandoned city. However, Chen Beiyuan had already withdrawn the troll puppet, rode on the little silly dragon Anu, and flew rapidly towards the sky to avoid the aftermath. Finally got rid of this troublesome guy. Chen Beiyuan exhaled a thick breath. At the moment when Fu Dou died, he felt a huge amount of spiritual power pouring into his body instantly. In an instant, his soul strength reached an unprecedented critical point. There is no doubt that at this moment, he is qualified to break through to the 6th grade Battle King. Chapter 113, 3-month-old Little Silly Dragon. Following the fall of the disaster beast Huidu, the Donghua students outside the tower suddenly cheered and fell into a state of fanaticism. Pairs of hot eyes were focused on the figure of a man and a dragon on the 7th floor of Soul Beast Tower, as if they were witnessing a new history and a new legend. I won. I really won. Chief Qin really defeated the disaster beast Fu Do. The 7th floor that no one has passed through in the past 100 years has finally been broken. Isn't it going to be the 8th level next? Isn't the 8th level a ferocious beast of the 8th grade? Hiss! The 8th grade ferocious beast is a terrifying existence comparable to the 8th grade War Emperor. I have never seen it before. By the way, since the establishment of Donghua Academy, it seems that no student has been able to enter the 8th floor, right? Brother-in-law awesome. The thought of seeing the legendary 8th grade beast next. Everyone present was ecstatic and excited. That is a ferocious monster that can destroy a country. In this exciting and fanatical mood, some clowns were naturally ignored. Leng Ruobing stared blankly at the domineering figure, feeling the almost fanatical shouts around him. A blush appeared on his cold and charming face, and the tenderness in his eyes almost came out. This is the man she wants. Bai Ruowei's gentle and watery eyes were also a little absent-minded at the moment, as if recalling the past. Her fiery red lips were slightly raised, revealing a hint of motherly light. The little guy who knew how to squeal and bite has now finally grown into a man who can stand alone. Jiang Yunhua's eyes were blurred, and she looked straight at the domineering figure. The fire poison in her body became stronger and stronger, making her feel burning with desire. It feels so uncomfortable. It would be great if Beiyuan could help with detoxification, seeing that his beloved goddess eyes are full of other men. Many people present had their back molars almost broken, and the jealousy in their hearts was hard to suppress. This time, if Anu hadn't successfully promoted to the 6th grade beast peak and woke up to help, I'm afraid it wouldn't have been that simple to deal with this scourge. It would have taken some effort, and even Abyss would have been exposed. This is the trump card. No wonder in the past 100 years, no one of the younger generation has been able to pass this level. This beast is really difficult to deal with. This thing may not be able to kill even the peak War Emperor. Back then, my father spent a lot of effort to kill it quickly and stabilize the situation. He even set up a killing formation in the army. Chen Beiyuan couldn't help but sigh at this moment. Those evil dark purple eyes lingered for a moment on the scabbed wounds on the body and the several large holes in the left shoulder bone. If Blood Dragon transformation hadn't given him a defense and recovery power comparable to that of the Blood Dragon clan, he wouldn't have dared to engage in hand-to-hand combat with Fu Do like this. If it had been anyone else, they would have been burned to death by the terrifying high-temperature flames as soon as they got close to the beast. This is a monster known as the Beast of Fire. Although this time the Soul Beast Tower trial exposed a lot of trump cards, even the existence of the little silly dragon Anu was exposed. But Chen Beiyuan seemed extremely calm, without too much anxiety. Some things cannot be hidden, so exposing them in advance is a good thing. Moreover, this time his soul strength has reached a new critical point, and he can consider breaking through to the 6th grade War King. This is undoubtedly one step closer to the 8th grade War Emperor. Of course, at this moment, he did not choose to start a breakthrough at Soul Beast Tower. The high-density fusion of the body and the fighting spirit needs to be in a quiet, safe place where no one will disturb you. Once interrupted midway, failure is likely to occur. The environment of Soul Beast Tower is undoubtedly unsuitable. Moreover, he still has some things to do next. He worked hard to defeat the first 7 floors of Soul Beast Tower, not just to break through the 6th grade War King, but naturally he had other plans. Anu, I'm sorry to trouble you this time. Chen Beiyuan patted the big head of the little silly dragon Anu in front of him, with a happy smile on his face. Yuan. The huge majestic dragon head rubbed against his body affectionately, containing the strangeness of the dark sun and blood moon. Dual pupils was full of nostalgia, and the moist and warm dragon tongue instantly licked Chen Beiyuan's saliva. Such an intimate and coquettish move immediately caused everyone outside the tower to exclaim in surprise and disbelief. What the hell is this dragon race? Dragon race shouldn't be aloof, arrogant, cruel and violent. When did you become like this, licking a dragon? Even dragon race, who has been raised since childhood, once enters the growth stage, his own wildness and dragon's unique arrogance will gradually appear, and he will ignore his master and even defect. Chen Beiyuan, this mutated blood dragon, looks like a dragon race that has entered the growth stage. He is at least hundreds of years old. At this time, he should be the most rebellious. In this regard, Chen Beiyuan just wanted to say that he didn't know how old the little silly dragon Anu was in his previous life. But in this life, she is less than half a year old. It takes more than 3 months at most to be born after breaking out of the shell. She is only a little over 3 months old baby dragon. Although she is relatively well developed, she is 60 feet, 200 meters, in just over 3 months, which is comparable to a high-rise building with more than 40 stories, and is approximately equal to the height of 4 Ultramantiga combined. But that these are all minor issues. Children grow quickly, so it's normal for them to grow a little older. Of course, this is also inseparable from Chen Beiyuan's daily, pig-raising, style feeding, with freshly slaughtered, vicious beast meat, every meal. The little silly dragon Anu wouldn't even put meat from ferocious beasts below 6th grade into his mouth. It also has to be fed by Chen Beiyuan himself. In addition, he had to play with her every day. At night, this little silly dragon would pester him to sleep and listen to bedtime stories. If he didn't hear it, he would bite him everywhere or drool all over him. Under such circumstances, it would be difficult for them not to be close to each other. Chen Beiyuan patted the restless Anu in front of him with a look of helplessness. Suddenly, he noticed something was wrong with him. A numb itching began to appear at the wound. I saw that the hideous wound stained by Anu's saliva was healing quickly. In less than a moment, the many wounds on his body began to form thick scabs, which quickly fell off, revealing the new white skin inside. Hiss. This little silly dragon's saliva actually has this effect? Wait, dragon race's saliva seems to be called dragon saliva. Moreover, it is still an extremely valuable medicine. No wonder people often say that dragon race's whole body is full of treasures, and even his saliva has healing power. Soon, the cold voice of Soul Beast Tower appeared again. Past the 7th level trial? Swish. The figures of one person and one dragon disappeared from the 7th floor in full view of everyone. Chapter 114, The Mysterious Beast on the 8th floor. Accompanied by Chen Beiyuan and the little silly dragon Anu, one person and one dragon disappeared on the 7th floor. In an instant, everyone outside the tower focused their attention on the 8th floor of the Soul Beast Tower, which was also the top position. At this moment, everyone's eyes were filled with anticipation, wanting to see what kind of existence could be imprisoned on the 8th floor. However, this time, they did not directly see the situation inside like they did on the 7th floor. I saw that the Soul Beast Tower on the 8th floor fell into deathly silence, without any movement. In an instant, the whole place exploded. What's the situation? Why can't I see what's going on inside? I also want to see what ferocious beasts or aliens are imprisoned inside. Yeah, I also want to see if Chief Chun can create a miracle and fight against the monsters on the 8th floor. Is it possible that no one can see the 8th floor? No, it's just like this. In an instant, everyone present focused their attention on Jiang Bai, who was standing at the front. I hope the principal of Donghua University can give an explanation. However, in response to the puzzled looks behind him, Jiang Bai looked serious, without any intention of explaining, and said in a calm tone, "He can't pass this level. He will be out soon." As soon as these words came out, everyone in the audience was shocked. You know, the principal of Donghua Academy in front of you is the 8th grade war emperor, the top combat power of the Donghua Empire. Since he said so, the monsters on the 8th floor are probably not trivial. Chen Beiyuan is afraid that he will be defeated soon. In fact, everyone present had already seen that when Chen Beiyuan was on the 7th floor, he had already gone all out and played all his cards. With the addition of the powerful dragon pet, he barely defeated the disaster beast Fudo. In this case, facing the mysterious beast on the 8th floor, the possibility of victory is infinitely close to zero. But they still want to see the scene of Chief Chun fighting that mysterious beast. But judging from Principal Zhang's tone, Chen Beiyuan might not even be qualified to fight with that mysterious beast. Suddenly, everyone present had different expressions, ranging from regret to relief. Bai Ruowei, Jiang Yunhua, and Leng Ruobing all heard something unusual, and their eyes could not help but show a hint of worry. Jiang Bai paid no attention to the commotion behind him and looked at the Soul Beast gate. According to his prediction, when Chen Beiyuan first stepped onto the 8th floor, that was when he was defeated and was teleported out. It's just a matter of a moment. The monster on the 8th floor is not something that Chen Beiyuan can resist today. It might be possible to replace him with Mr. Chun from the border front, but for some reason, he felt an inexplicable irritation welling up in his heart at this moment, as if something unexpected was going to happen. What happened? Jiang Bai frowned. When Chen Beiyuan and little silly dragon Anu opened their eyes, what they saw was a dark and strange valley. Each one is flat and smooth, like strange peaks with their tops cut off, standing on the ground. The entire sky was pitch black, without any light. At this moment, before one person and one dragon could finish surveying their surroundings, a gloomy joke suddenly appeared from the depths of the valley with a hoarse voice. Another ungrateful insect breaks in? Get out! Chong! A ray of blood suddenly shot out from the depths of the valley, shining in all directions, sweeping in all directions with a terrifying murderous intent that swept the world. Wherever it passes, everything is cut off. Chen Beiyuan's expression changed slightly as he was locked by the bloody light. He felt that his soul was almost frozen, and he could not move. He could only bow his head obediently. Even the little silly dragon Anu next to him was locked by this killing intent at this moment. His huge body was suppressed and unable to move at this moment. No one expected that as soon as they stepped onto the 8th floor, they would be met with such a terrifying attack. Facing the absolute crushing strength, most of Chen Beiyuan's trump cards lost their effect. Yuan. Seeing that bloody light was about to slash towards Chen Beiyuan, a terrifying imperial power suddenly erupted from the body of the little silly dragon Anu, and the ignorant and strange dual pupils was instantly filled with a domineering pressure. At this moment, she forcefully broke free from the shackles of the terrifying bloody light and stood in front of Chen Beiyuan, trying to block the blow. Dway. This sudden scene immediately made the terrifying beasts deep in the valley startle and wonder. The expression of a 6th-grade mutated blood dragon actually exploded with the pressure of an 8th-grade dragon emperor. However, what surprised him even more next was that the weakest human suddenly burst out with a creepy taboo aura, and he also forcibly broke away from the shackles of the blood light, strode forward, and directly blocked the in front of the mutated blood dragon. I'm not in the habit of hiding behind others. Chen Beiyuan was dressed in a black robe. In the depths of his dark eyes, there seemed to be some kind of forbidden existence that was slowly awakening, and the oppressive feeling brought by the blood was being swallowed up. His deep eyes looked directly at the terrifying bloody light that was coming towards him, and he seemed to see that it was a killing sword stained with endless blood and rust. That was a terrifying blow belonging to the 8th-grade beast. The terror of this sword was enough to easily kill the previous disaster beast, Fudo, without even using its divine ability to fission. The gap between the 7th-grade beast and the 8th-grade beast is like heaven and earth. At this moment, it seemed that he could only survive by hoping to be teleported out of the Soul Beast Tower. But how could an embarrassing defeat be his style? Seeing that the terrifying bloody light was close at hand, a bloody and thick tortoise shell suddenly appeared in front of him. Trushia residual armor. Roar. A strange roar suddenly resounded from the bloody and thick tortoise shell. A terrifying dragon turtle phantom with a sky-reaching stone tablet on its back, as thick as a mountain, and with ferocious barbs stepped on the huge waves, appeared in front of a man and a dragon, and crashed towards the terrifying bloody light. Sonorous. A sound of gold and iron resounded throughout the world. The surrounding mountain peaks were instantly cut off by the terrifying impact. The bloody light filled with horrifying murderous intent was directly shattered by the phantom of Bishi, revealing a scarlet long sword covered in blood and rust and shooting towards the depths of the valley. Lao Lu's hard armor? How did it appear on your hand? Deep in the valley, the mysterious beast suddenly made an incredible sound of surprise. Obviously, it also recognized the origin of the broken piece of armor in Chen Beiyuan's hand. Of course it happened by chance. At this time, why don't you show up? I spent a lot of effort to get here. Chen Beiyuan's face was calm, his eyes were deep, and he looked directly at the mysterious beast deep in the valley, as if he already knew its true identity. Chapter 115 Yaju. Tread, tread, tread. Heavy footsteps emerged from the depths of the dark, silent valley. The mysterious beast finally made some movement. A ferocious beast that looked like a jackal, with a sword in its mouth, scarlet hair, and long horns that curved close to its back, walked out slowly. Its body exuded a terrifying coercion. Its rich scarlet hair was almost dyed red with blood, and the killing intent contained in it almost dyed the entire world red. Such a terrifying bloodlust can only be condensed after killing many enemies. Indistinctly, you can still hear the howling of the dead souls. And the sword it held in its mouth was surprisingly the terrifying long sword covered in blood and rust just now. Yaju. 8th floor of the Soul Beast Tower. The remnant soul of Yajin. Quantity. 1. Yair. The dragon gave birth to 9 sons, and the second son, Yair, looks like a jackal, has dragon horns, holds a sword in its mouth, is strong and cruel, loves to fight bravely, and has a bloodthirsty nature. Trialist, kill it. You will become the master of the Soul Beast Tower. Countdown. 3 hours. The cold voice appeared again, but this time there was a strange message in the introduction. Can you become the master of the Soul Beast Tower by defeating the remnant soul of Yasui? This 8th grade magic weapon that the royal family Zhang has mastered for who knows how many years is actually ownerless. If this news spreads, might it cause an uproar? You must know that the existence of Soul Beast Tower, an 8th grade magic weapon, has almost become one of the strategic weapons of the Zhang family to deter the outside world. The intimidating power of an 8th grade magic weapon is enough to make many forces feel afraid. Especially this 8th grade magic weapon is still in Jiang Bai's hands. The 8th grade War Emperor with 8th grade divine weapons and the 8th grade War Emperor without 8th grade divine weapons are always two different concepts. Even if the former is weaker than the latter, relying on the power of the magic weapon, it can reverse the situation and even kill the opponent. This thing is almost equivalent to a strategic weapon. Even those top forces don't have much. Some 8th grade war emperors don't even have their own 8th grade magic weapons. If the news that Soul Beast Tower is ownerless comes out, it will inevitably arouse the covetousness of some people. In fact, it may even be coveted by one of our own people. An 8th grade magic weapon that has not yet been controlled and cannot exert its true power has no deterrent effect at all. Instead, it is like a mouthful of fragrant, fat meat. Never overestimate the bottom line of others, and never underestimate the greed of others. When the benefits are sufficient, it is not uncommon for one's own people to stab someone. Presumably, some top aristocratic families are also very interested in weakening the Jiang family. During the meat sharing on the border front, major aristocratic families had vague ideas of kicking the royal family out, but Chen Beiyuan had such a look on his face and his eyes were calm, as if he had known about it for a long time. Having read the original work, he naturally knows a lot of secrets. The reason why Jiang Bai has not completely mastered the Soul Beast Tower over the years is because of the Yi Kane residual soul in front of him. Nowadays, the first 7 floors of Soul Beast Tower are controlled by Jiang Bai, but only the most critical 8th level is still powerless. Yazin, with only a trace of his soul left, was like a big mountain, blocking Jiang Bai's face. Chen Beiyuan ignored Yazin walking in front of him, but looked at the little silly dragon Anu behind him. A trace of tenderness flashed on his cold face, and he patted her big head. Silly Anu. He naturally saw the action of the little silly dragon Anu, who just broke free from his restraints and stood in front of him in a critical moment. This little guy really regarded her as a relative. It's not in vain that he kept pooping and peeing on it and feeding it to such a big size. Although he is usually a bit naughty and likes to bite everywhere, he is still reliable at critical moments. Woo woo woo. The little silly dragon Anu lowered his head. The majesty of the weird dual pupils disappeared, and he became ignorant again. He made a comfortable sound like a coquettish one, and his thick dragon tail flapped randomly, indicating her joy. Feeling, Ayuan is the best? The remnant soul of Yazin walked over and looked at the shadowy figure carrying the stone tablet. A trace of complexity flashed in his ferocious eyes. The dragon gives birth to 9 sons, each of whom is different. Each one contains part of the pure true dragon bloodline, each with special powers. The second son Yazin is undoubtedly the most capable of beating, and the 6th son Bigue is the most capable of being beaten. The relationship between the two is naturally conceivable, definitely a brotherhood from childhood to adulthood, but now that Lao Lu's heart armor has been lost, I'm afraid it's gone. However, it's not much better in comparison. Yazixuan was about to look at the scene in front of him, especially the coquettish little silly dragon paused for a moment. The ferocious face like a jackal twitched slightly, obviously recognizing his identity. Immediately, it locked its gaze on the invisible human kid and said in a hoarse voice, "Boy, you are different from those guys. Are you here for me?" "Yes, I want to make a deal with you." Chen Beiyuan put down the hand that was touching Anu and walked slowly to Yazin. He looked at him with his deep and dark eyes. His expression was calm and there was no fear at all. "Yaizhen, I know that you were sneak attacked by several dragon emperors from Walong Island, which caused your body to be destroyed, and only a trace of your soul escaped. In order to survive, you took the initiative to enter the Soul Beast Tower and became the guardian of the 8th floor. You also became the weapon spirit of the Soul Beast Tower. Only by defeating this weapon spirit, can we completely control this 8th grade magic weapon. The Jiang family has been unable to master the Soul Beast Tower over the years because they were unable to defeat you within the stipulated time. I am different from the Jiang family. They just want to defeat you and then control this 8th grade magic weapon, but I am interested in you and want to make a deal with you." "Interesting kid. It seems you know a lot of things." Yazin Remnant lowered his head, looking at the human imp in front of him who seemed to be able to kill him with just a breath. He obviously didn't expect that the other person could know so many things about it. That ferocious, wolf-like face gradually became serious. "I'm starting to be a little interested in you. Tell me what you want to trade? I can help you get revenge. Those old guys who caused you to fall into such a miserable state are still alive and well now. I don't believe you don't have any resentment in your heart. In return, I want something from you." Chen Beiyuan looked at the remnant soul in front of him and said calmly. As soon as these words came out, Yazin Kanhun in front of him suddenly burst into laughter, as if he had heard some joke. Ha ha ha. Chapter 116. Divine Ability. Yaju must be repaid. Ha 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 ha. A human race monk who is not even a 6th grade war king actually told me that he wants to avenge me. Why do you have that? Do you know who my enemy is? Although those old guys on Walong Island are despicable and shameless, they are actually 8th grade dragon emperors, and they are also the actual controllers of Walong Island. You are not even the 8th grade war emperor. No, why fight with them? Moreover, if you touch them, it is equivalent to turning against all dragon races on Walong Island, and all dragon races will not let you go. In terms of overall strength alone, the strength of Wanlong Island is still higher than that of your Donghua Empire. Looking at the extremely arrogant Chen Beiyuan in front of him, Yazin Kanhun almost laughed to the point of tears. The Dragon Island, it calls, is the sacred land in the eyes of all dragon races. It is inhabited by countless powerful dragon races and dragon-like creatures. Dragon race is synonymous with power, not to mention a powerful nation where all members are dragon race. In terms of overall strength, Wanlong Island is definitely a terrifying existence stronger than the Donghua Empire. Chen Beiyuan's words are undoubtedly nonsense in its eyes. However, to its surprise, Chen Beiyuan remained very calm from beginning to end, with a disdainful smile on his lips. Yaizu, if dragon race had been so united, you wouldn't have ended up like this. The dragon emperors on Wanlong Island are notoriously narrow-minded. They have been suppressing the mixed blood dragon race over the years. As long as there is a mixed blood dragon race that threatens their existence, they will be targeted. No, it's not just the mixed blood dragon race, even the pure blood dragon race. Anyone who threatens their status will be charged with unwarranted charges. Do you really think I don't know the true situation of Wanlong Island? It's a pointless temptation, so it's better to end it as soon as possible. Yazin Remnant laughed heartily, and his jackal-like head instantly turned cold and ferocious. Apparently, Chen Beiyuan's words brought back some bad memories. As in dragon species, that is a cross between a real dragon and a jackal. Although it does not have the dragon race's ability to soar through the clouds and control thunder and flames, it does possess a more powerful killing power. Its combat power is far beyond the ordinary dragon race. It is no weaker than the dragon emperors of Wanlong Island, and is even stronger. This is undoubtedly a serious threat to their status. Thus, a conspiracy against it began. In the end, only a trace of its soul escaped. Chen Beiyuan ignored the uncertain eyes in front of him, but glanced at a little silly dragon behind him that sneaked up to the Bai Shikan Jia, and began to gnaw at it, and said meaningfully, "You should recognize her. The Bloody Dragon Emperor is a rising star on Wanlong Island in recent years. I heard that he likes killing dragons the most. He is very murderous. Although I am trapped here, I have heard about it through some channels." Yazin Kanhun also followed his gaze, and spoke in a hoarse voice. Even though it is trapped in the Soul Beast Tower, it can still learn a lot of things from others through some special channels. Among them, naturally included the rising star of the Bloody Dragon Emperor. Chen Beiyuan is not surprised by its old-fashioned attitude. In the original work, the origin of this beast is not simple, and its age cannot be traced. However, it is definitely an old antique. Even the Bloody Dragon Emperor is just a rising star in its eyes. Yazin Kanhun looked at the little silly dragon Anu who was biting by Shikan armor, with complicated eyes, and he obviously guessed why she became like this. In all likelihood, it was the fault of those old immortals from Wanlong Island. Those old guys will not allow anyone to challenge their status. All potential threats will be eliminated. Because of her, sooner or later I will face those dragon emperors from Wanlong Island. When the time comes, I will definitely have to fight against them. I'll help you get revenge, just by the way. Chen Beiyuan said calmly. He knew very well that the existence of Little Silly Dragon was both an unprecedented opportunity and a huge threat. If those old guys on Wanlong Island knew that the Bloody Dragon Emperor was not dead but was reborn, they would definitely take action. This is undoubtedly an unprecedented gamble. But so what? Life is not a big gamble. If you want to change your destiny, you need to hold all the power you can in your hands and do your best. If you are blindly afraid of this or that, you might as well wipe your neck and die. Since he came to this world, he has been planning what can be used for him. Whether it is the 8th grade Emperor Gu of the southern Xinjiang Gu clan, or the reborn Bloody Dragon Emperor Anu. In other words, the remnant soul of Yazin in front of me, they all helped him grow up faster. Those who do not plan for the overall situation cannot plan for one area. If you want to succeed, you have to keep plundering and growing. He believed that the remnant spirit in front of him would agree to his deal, because it is the kind of revenge that will be repaid. Being trapped in the Soul Beast Tower and unable to seek revenge from its enemies on Wanlong Island would undoubtedly cost it its life. In the original work, after Lin Shao, the son of Fortune, came to the 8th floor, he picked out a lot of wolf hair from the body of the remnant soul through a period of deception and painting. This time, the cake he drew was bigger, rounder, more fragrant, and even more delicious. Ha ha ha, interesting boy, what do you want? Yazin Kanhun was obviously moved by the cakes painted by Chen Beiyuan. As Chen Beiyuan said, it is Yaju. It is the most vengeful and terrifying beast. As long as there is a slight possibility of killing those old guys on Wanlong Island, it will not give up easily. I want your destiny divine ability. At this moment, Chen Beiyuan finally showed his fangs and revealed the ultimate purpose of his trip. The most powerful thing about Yazu is its extremely narrow-minded character. Anyone who provokes it will provoke its crazy revenge. Such an extremely crazy character has evolved into its own unique divine ability. Iju must be repaid. Any damage dealt to it will enrage it, and return it doubled. This is a natal divine ability with endless potential. As long as the physical body can bear it, it can be returned 10 times, or even 100 times. Over the years, the reason why Zhang Bai has been unable to pass the 8th floor of the Soul Beast Tower is because of its divine ability. In the original work, if Yazin hadn't been too careless and was attacked by several dragon emperors, his body was broken. With such terrifying divine ability, he might not have ended up like this. It is even possible to kill 1 or 2 enemies. In the original work, when Lin Xiao was a 7th grade war emperor, he only got 8th Yu Yi, and then he forcibly returned the attack of an 8th grade war emperor, injured him, and ran away. After that, it became even more famous. Nowadays, Chen Beiyuan is naturally eyeing this divine ability, which has unlimited potential. The ferocious face of Yazin remnant soul, like a jackal, paused for a moment, and then he let out a deep, hoarse laugh. A pair of ferocious beast eyes stared at the human in front of him, but there was no displeasure at all, but rather a bit of appreciation. Ha ha ha, you are greedy, ruthless, and courageous. I appreciate you more and more. I have lived for so long, and you are the first human being who dares to make a big deal in front of me and play the trick of a white wolf with empty gloves. Boy, I'm kind of looking forward to what the faces of those old immortals will be like when they see you use Yair B. Venge to return their attacks. However, it depends on you how effectively you can use the divine ability, Retribution. Apparently, it agreed. In response to this, Chen Beiyuan raised the corners of his mouth slightly, and while talking and laughing, he drew a pie for Yazin Kanhan. I am generous enough. If I have a chance, when I take control of the Soul Beast Tower, I will take you to kill Wanlong Island together, so that you can witness the scene of the enemy drinking hatred with your own eyes. Chapter 117, A. Yuan, bad. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining the essence and blood of Yaju, and realizing the divine ability of his destiny. Yaju must retaliate. Yaijue will repay, divine ability of the original destiny, the virtue of 1 meal must be repaid, and the resentment of Yazi must be repaid. The nature of Jiaju is to be grateful, bear grudges, and repay them directly. Kill for revenge. Kill. You will gain the ability to sense Yazu, and any murderous intention that is not good for you will be sensed by you and trigger the wrath of Yazu. When you receive an attack, you will fall into a state of rage. Yaijue will retaliate. You can summon the spirit of Yazi to return double the amount of the attack you received. Note: this natal divine ability is exclusive to the divine beast Yajin and has great potential. The host can explore it in depth. Outside the Soul Beast Tower. What happened? Zhang Bai's expression became more and more uncomfortable. According to his budget, Chen Beiyuan should have been beaten out by the remnant soul of the Yajuan when he entered the 8th floor. You know, Yazin remnant soul is famous for his arrogant and crazy personality. He has suffered a lot at the opponent's hands before, and he has never been able to take it down and completely control the Soul Beast Tower. Chen Beiyuan, a peak 5th grade war master, even with a 7th grade puppet and a mutant blood dragon at the peak of 6th grade ferocious beasts, could not withstand the sword of Yazin remnant soul. Could it be an accident? It's a pity that because he hasn't defeated the remnant soul of Yazin yet, he has not yet mastered the 8th level, and he has no idea what happened inside. It's a bit tricky now. Sonorous. A huge metal collision suddenly interrupted his thoughts. At the same time, it also attracted everyone's attention. In an instant, everyone present focused their attention on the 8th floor of Soul Beast Tower. Obviously, the huge abnormal sound just now came from the 8th floor of the Soul Beast Tower. Could it be that Chen Beiyuan fought against the mysterious beast on the 8th floor? But didn't Principal Jiang say that Chen Beiyuan would come out soon? Why is there a fight inside? What's the situation? In an instant, the eyes of everyone present suddenly changed. Even if they subconsciously focused on Zhang Bai, they did not dare to say anything due to his intimidation. Soon, after the weird metal collision disappeared, the 8th floor of Soul Beast Tower fell into deathly silence. Time passes little by little. Soon, half an hour passed, but Chen Beiyuan still showed no sign of coming out. In an instant, the atmosphere at the scene became increasingly weird. Some muttering sounds also began to appear. Didn't Principal Jiang say that Chief Chen will come out soon? It's been half an hour. Why hasn't he come out yet? The movement just now must have been a fight. Could it be that Chief Chen fought with the mysterious beast on the 8th level for half an hour? This is impossible. That is a terrifying existence comparable to the 8th grade war emperor. If it's really a fight, there should be some movement. But why is it so quiet? Could Chen Beiyuan have been out? No way. In all these years, there has never been a death in the Soul Beast Tower. And if something happens to the young master of the Chen family inside, will the empire change? Shut up, Chief Chen Fuxing Gaoxiao. You are so easy to get into trouble. Shut up your crow mouth. But if this is not the case, how can we explain the current situation? The crowd, though those murmurs were minimal, But everyone present is a cultivator, with clear eyes and sharp ears and excellent hearing, so naturally they can hear it clearly. In an instant, the expressions on everyone's faces were like those in the world, including excitement, anxiety, fear. Lin Shao subconsciously clenched his fists and looked expectantly at the top of the Soul Beast Tower, obviously hoping that something would happen to Chen Beiyuan inside, so that he would not come to trouble him in the future. Wei Wuxiang, Wang Daoxian, Zhu Kuaishou, Yi Chan and other top prodigies all had expressions that changed slightly and were uncertain. If something happens to Chen Beiyuan in Soul Beast Tower, no matter whether there is a conspiracy or something else, everyone present may not be able to escape. No one knows what the crazy Chen family will do. The faces of Bai Ruowei, Zhang Yunhua, and Leng Ruobing all changed, and their eyes showed a trace of worry and anxiety. Without any hesitation, Bai Ruowei and Zhang Yunhua broke the silence and shouted to Jiang Bai, "Second uncle, Uncle Jiang." Leng Ruobing obviously knew that his status was not enough, so he could only look at Principal Jiang with pleading eyes. Jiang Bai sighed, obviously realizing the seriousness of the matter, because even he couldn't be sure whether the Yazan remnant soul had some way to bypass the rules of the Soul Beast Tower and directly kill the trialist. Although this possibility is extremely low, if it did happen, it wouldn't be fun. If something really happened to young Master Chen in Soul Beast Tower, he would be the first to bear the brunt. The Chen family is afraid that they will fall out with the Jiang family. He doesn't dare to gamble. "I know, I'll go in and take a look. Don't worry, Beiyuan will be fine." Jiang Bai's eyes suddenly became sharp, exuding the domineering aura of a king. For the current plan, he could only enter the 8th floor to check the situation in person. Even though this move would trigger a crazy attack from the remnant soul of Yazan, it was still better than doing nothing. If something happens to Chen Beiyuan, the Jiang family must be prepared to withstand the Chen family's crazy revenge, and even a complete withdrawal of troops from the border front. Just when Jiang Bai was about to leave, he paused, his eyes changed, and he looked towards the gate of the Soul Beast Tower. Click. The door depicting countless ferocious beasts and alien races suddenly opened wide. A figure wearing a large black robe, with a handsome face, fair skin, an evil blood dragon mark on his eyebrows, a smile on his lips, and a mysterious and strange demonic nature walked out. Surprisingly, it is Chen Beiyuan. However, the smile on his lips at this moment was a bit helpless. When Chen Beiyuan walked out of the door, he suddenly realized that something was wrong with the atmosphere in front of him, and everyone seemed to look at him strangely. Beiyuan. Before he could react, two delicate and plump figures suddenly rushed towards him and hugged his body tightly. Chen Beiyuan, who was tightly hugged by Ruowei and Zhang Yunhua, was suddenly stunned. Immediately, he came to his senses, and combined with the strange eyes in front of him, he instantly guessed the reason. The two women must have thought something happened to him inside, which is why they were so excited. In response, he also smiled, patted the two of them on the back, and said comfortingly, "Okay, I'm fine, I just spent some time in there." Well, looking at Ruowei and Zhang Yunhua, who were excited in their arms, Chen Beiyuan also sighed helplessly. There is naturally a reason why he came out so slowly. Originally, after he completed the deal with the remnant soul of Yaju and obtained his destiny divine ability, Yaju must retaliate. He could leave directly. As a result, something unexpected happened. Just when he was about to take back the Baishikanjia, a certain careless little dragon clung to the Baishikanjia and refused to let go. Apparently, it regarded the big turtle shell as a toy. As a result, one person and one dragon started a tug-of-war on the 8th floor. Chen Beiyuan spent a lot of effort before he managed to snatch the food from the dragon's mouth and take the Baishi broken armor back into the system space. But after losing the toy, the silly little dragon screamed angrily and even held the old father's head and chewed and bit it to vent his dissatisfaction. Yuan bad. Then, the angry little silly dragon anew hid directly in the depths of his soul, with an attitude of ignoring you. In response, Chen Beiyuan, who was drooled all over, smiled helplessly. "I can only comfort myself. After all, I raised it by myself, and it is only 3 months old. It is normal to be naughty and mischievous." Finally, after changing into clean clothes, he slowly left Soul Beast Tower. As soon as the results came out, there was a wave of attacks from left and right. Chapter 118 Shura Field. When they saw Chen Beiyuan coming out of the Soul Beast Tower, everyone present secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Even Jiang Bai stopped entering the Soul Beast Tower. It's good that people are fine, otherwise, when something happens, everyone present will be implicated. However, the next scene where the Bai family prodigy, Bai Ruowei, and the emperor's daughter Zhang Yunhua threw themselves into Chen Beiyuan's arms at the same time made many people present dumbfounded. Trench. Two great beauties throwing themselves into each other's arms is naturally something that many people dream of. But just looking at the identities of the two people, we know that things are not that simple. As Bai Ruowei's eldest daughter and Chen Beiyuan's fiancée, it was understandable that she rushed towards him in excitement. But Jiang Yunhua is His Highness the Sixth Prince of the Donghua Empire and a core member of the royal Jiang family. She has no real relationship with Chen Beiyuan. For a royal daughter to hug her fiancé in public, this would damage the image of the royal family. Once word spreads, it will be unprecedentedly big news. Although many people knew that Jiang Yunhua was interested in Chen Beiyuan before, this was the first time they had seen such a blatant behavior. More importantly, will Jiang Yunhua's move anger the Bai family? Did the Bai family think this was an attempt to interfere with their marriage with the Chen family? However, compared to this, the people present were more envious of Chen Beiyuan's rich luck in being loved by two beauties with top backgrounds. Two of the four beauties in Yinjing all fell in love with her. This matter may soon spread throughout the entire imperial capital and cause quite a stir. Yi Chen's eyes were uncertain, and he looked at Bai Ruowei lying in Chen Beiyuan's arms with an ugly face, and the fire in his eyes almost came out. But he quickly suppressed this emotion. He knew very well that Chen Beiyuan, who had defeated the 7th floor of the Soul Beast Tower, was obviously not a being that he could match. The Yi family is also weaker than the Chen family in terms of strength. If you insist on pushing forward, you will always bring trouble to yourself and the family. Is it really worth it for a woman you have a crush on? Yi Chun was silent. Chen Beiyuan, you really deserve to die. Lin Xiao could not hide his jealousy at this moment, and was obviously very stimulated by the scene in front of him. Bai Ruowei and Jiang Yunhua are both as good as Leng Ruobing in terms of appearance, and they completely crush him in terms of temperament, not to mention their terrifying background blessings. In this case, both are goddesses that he has never dreamed of. With his current status, it would be difficult for him to talk to these two goddesses. Wanting them to take another look at him is a luxury. But now, these two goddesses are taking the initiative to fall into the arms of other men. This is even more uncomfortable than killing him. Does it really comply with the famous what theory? There is also a difference between what? Some Ma are born in small ditches in the wild, and they do their best to survive every day. And some of them were born in Shualian Cave and had their own Waguashan household registration. They could easily get everything they wanted, and they were surrounded by a group of similar people shouting, "Long live the king?" What made Lin Xiao even more chilling was that just now, Leng Ruobing, who was not far away, obviously wanted to rush forward, but in the end he stopped halfway. Obviously, she also realized that this occasion was not something she could get into. Nowadays, the two women hugging Chen Beiyuan are existences that she cannot afford to offend. Although she, Bai Ruobing and Jiang Yunhua are among the four beauties in Yinjing, the other three all rely on their own beauty, strength and background. Only she was because of Chen Beiyuan's previous crush. Without Chen Beiyuan's love, she is nothing. But the more this happens, the more unwilling she is. Leng Ruobing looked at the tall figure who was familiar to his bones with his eyes, as if he had made some kind of determination. I will not give up. Sorry, Sister Bai, I got a little excited when I saw Beiyuan coming out. You probably won't mind. Jiang Yunhua also realized at this moment that his actions were a bit excessive. She looked at Bai Ruowei in front of her with an apologetic look and apologized sincerely. But he had no intention of letting go, and still held Chen Beiyuan's left side tightly. Rather than an apology, it seemed like a provocation. It doesn't matter. Sister Yunhua was excited for a moment. As a sister, you can understand. After all, people will always have an overreaction to things that are beyond their reach. It's just that Beiyuan is my fiancée after all, and you are the emperor's daughter. If you hug my man in public, it will be bad for the reputation of the royal family. Of course, if Beiyuan doesn't mind, I won't mind either. Bai Ruowei smiled calmly and said the cruelest words in the gentlest words. At the same time, he also directly declared his position in the palace and showed his magnanimity. But Jiang Yunhua was just short of being accused of being a vixen. Jiang Yunhua obviously understood the meaning. The fire poison in his body instantly became stronger, and the temperature of his skin began to rise, like a warm baby. At this moment, Chen Beiyuan, who was caught in the middle, had a calm expression on his face. He had obviously guessed the Shura field in front of him. In the original work, there are countless situations similar to this. It turns out that these two lucky heroines were close friends when they were children. But everything changed 6 years ago. 6 years ago, after he and Bai Ruowei got engaged, the two former childhood friends completely fell out. As soon as they met, they would target each other, quarrel, and even start fighting directly. Especially when it came to matters involving him, the two fought even more fiercely. In the plot, Jiang Yunhua came to Chen's house repeatedly under the slogan of begging for mercy for Lin Xiao. This was originally very secret, but Bai Ruowei discovered it. At that time, Bai Ruowei sensed something was wrong and ran to take a peek. As a result, she was so shocked that her lungs almost exploded. The two fought for 3 days and 3 nights, almost risking their lives. #FL+F=. After this battle, Jiang Yunhua never went to the Chen family again. After that, Fairy Bai used Lin Shao as bait to repeatedly catch Devil Chun and brutally transform him. It was Zhang Yunhua who was the first to notice something was wrong and arrived in time with several other lucky heroines to break Fairy Bai's viciousness. The plan saved Devil Chun. It can be said that these two people are trying to undermine each other and hurt each other. Among all the lucky heroines, these two are the most fierce. Of course, there is no time when these two people cooperate. In the late stage of the plot, when Fairy Bai proposed the grand plan of feeding demons with her body, she immediately thought of Zhang Yunhua and personally invited her to join it. At that time, they were singing in harmony, going up and down, and they cooperated very well. At that time, Chen Beiyuan was in agony from being tortured, crying, and almost surrendered. Chapter 119 Exploding Gold Coins Fiercely. That's what my sister said. Zhang Yunhua suppressed the restless fire poison in his body, and a bitter smile appeared on his beautiful face. She still regressed and reluctantly let go of her arms holding Chen Beiyuan. Under the public gaze, and without a status, it was really difficult for her to compete head-on with Bai Ruowei. Seeing Zhang Yunhua take the initiative to give in and surrender, Bai Ruowei didn't feel the slightest joy. Instead, her eyes became a little colder. She was once a best friend, and she knew very well that the other person was definitely not a weak-tempered man, but a man full of ambitions who had been coveting him. Now, 9 out of 10 times, there was something brewing. Chen Beiyuan also knows this very well. In the original work, Zhang Yunhua, the contrasting emperor's daughter, is a drama queen and can always come up with something interesting. Sure enough, after Zhang Yunhua let go, she started her performance. I saw that she was a little depressed, her eyes were hazy, with a trace of sadness and a trace of expectation, looking at Chen Beiyuan in front of her. Beiyuan, my previous fire poison, seems to have relapsed. Can I go to Chen's house for a few days? By the way, Sister Bai, you don't mind, do you? She pointed out the word again, meaningfully, and Bai Ruowei naturally understood the meaning. She suddenly remembered the scene when Zhang Yunhua walked out of Chen's house 3 days ago. The gentle smile on her face remained unchanged, but her fists it was quietly hard. At this moment, the snow-white fox squeezed in the middle seemed to notice something, and was instantly trembling with fear. As long as Beiyuan is willing, I naturally have no objection. In an instant, the eyes of the two women were focused on Chen Beiyuan. There is no doubt that this question is definitely a proposition for ordinary men. But for Chen Beiyuan, this kind of thing has never been a problem. He wants them all. Of course, if Yunhua wants to come and sit at Chen's house, it's no problem. It's all a trivial matter. Chen Beiyuan smiled lightly. As soon as these words came out, Zhang Yunhua's face suddenly turned crimson, and he glanced at Bai Ruowei provocatively, as if to demonstrate. Bai Ruowei's eyes turned cold, but she did not have an attack. She still maintained an elegant and reserved smile on her face. As she said, she can support whatever Chen Beiyuan wants. Even some minor problems can be laughed off. In a sense, the character of this white fairy is somewhat traditional and has a very high tolerance. As long as the person is still hers, everything can be discussed. Children are always playful and eager to try new things. These are all minor issues. It has to be said that she is not weaker than others in terms of forbearance. However, how could it be impossible for Chen Beiyuan to give face to his fiancée? I saw him slowly approaching Bai Ruowei's ear and whispering intimately, "Ruowei, will we come together then?" "Okay, I'll listen to you." Bai Ruowei's delicate body trembled, and the coldness in her eyes suddenly dissipated. Qianqiansu stroked his face with her hands, looking at the man in front of her lovingly, her eyes full of maternal brilliance. She really loved Chen Beiyuan to the core. Even if it was something ridiculous, she would always agree unconditionally as long as it was proposed by him. I have to say that Fairy Bai really loved Devil Chun before she turned black. Of course, after the blackening, it hurts even more. Seeing the two people being so intimate in front of him, the provocative smile on Zhang Yunhua's face suddenly stiffened, and he watched helplessly as the two hugged each other and walked forward. When passing by Zhang Bai, Chen Beiyuan paused and said meaningfully, "Uncle Zhang, I know some things well and won't talk nonsense." "Ha ha ha, if you say that, I'm naturally relieved." Zhang Bai smiled and nodded, but his eyes were meaningfully focused on the evil blood dragon mark between his eyebrows, and he paused for a moment. Zhang Bai knew very well that Chen Beiyuan was talking about the Soul Beast Tower, an 8th-grade magic weapon that had not yet recognized its owner. After all, Chen Beiyuan went to the 8th floor and stayed there for so long. Although I don't know what I did, I definitely know some things. However, Zhang Bai's glance at the evil blood dragon mark between Chen Beiyuan's eyebrows also showed that he recognized Anu's true identity. There is never a fool who can hold a high position. However, Chen Beiyuan dared to show Anu out because he was fully prepared. Presumably Mr. Chen has already communicated with the imperial brother. It's a pity that a huge opportunity was missed. Chen Beiyuan nodded slightly when he looked at the top prodigies of the empire in the front. All the prodigies also showed kind and friendly smiles and responded, without the arrogance and domineering Zhang Yunhua said at first. Now, Chen Beiyuan has proven his strength after defeating the 7th floor of the Soul Beast Tower. There is a faint tendency to become the first among the younger generation. There were many top prodigy present. Even though they had many trump cards, they still had no confidence in winning. In this case, it would be unwise to antagonize him. When the crowd blocking the front saw Chen Beiyuan and Bai Ruowei approaching, they subconsciously stepped back to open a passage. Lin Xiao, who had been slapped by Chen Beiyuan many times before, had learned well. When Chen Beiyuan came over, he was the first to avoid him. Xiaobai, you drive. Chen Beiyuan ignored the shrinking protagonist of the miracle doctor. He saw the identity of his brother-in-law with sharp eyes and immediately greeted him. Come on, brother-in-law. It's my little fortune to drive you too. Brother-in-law, when you two get married, I will be responsible for driving your wedding car and personally delivering my sister to your home. Bai Yuza trotted over with a flattering look on his face, took the car keys skillfully, and spoke full of nonsense. Bai Ruowei, who was leaning in Chen Beiyuan's arms, glanced away from Zhang Yunhua, who was standing behind him, and deliberately approached Chen Beiyuan's neck, getting closer. Naturally, this small move could not escape Zhang Yunhua's eyes, which immediately made him tremble with anger. Bai Ruowei, you bastard. You robbed me when you were little. When you grow up, will you still compete with me? I'm afraid that even Chen Beiyuan doesn't know that the feud between Bai Ruowei and Zhang Yunhua happened not 6 years ago, but 18 years ago. They, who were still close friends at the time, went to the Chen family under the leadership of their respective elders. The elders on both sides had a tacit agreement to put Bai Ruowei and Zhang Yunhua, who were still little girls, in front of them and look at little Beiyuan, who was still a baby. Then, he went to the backyard to settle accounts with some old bastard openly. Just when a fire broke out in Chen's backyard, Bai Ruowei and Zhang Yunhua in the front yard also had a heated argument over a certain baby's fight for rights and eventually broke up. At that time, the elders on both sides were satisfied. When they took them away, Xiao Beiyuan's plump pink face was swollen from kisses. Soon, after sending the Bai Ruowei siblings back to the Bai family, Chen Beiyuan drove back to the Chen family. At this moment, in a corner not far from Chen's house, there was a cold figure waiting for a long time. After seeing Chen Beiyuan come back, he took the initiative. Young master, Miss Leng is outside and wants to see you. Just when Chen Beiyuan was about to go back to the house to practice, intending to make a breakthrough, but he heard the butler's report. Chen Beiyuan raised his eyebrows. He couldn't guess Leng Ruobing's purpose. Could it be that something happened? Otherwise, it would be impossible for her to suddenly come looking for her. Bring her in. Soon, Leng Ruobing was brought into the room, and the housekeeper respectfully withdrew and closed the door. What's the matter, huh? Snapped. Before Chen Beiyuan could finish speaking, Leng Ruobing knelt down out of habit. Chen Beiyuan? Hiss. What Bai Ruowei and Zhang Yunhua never knew was that just when they were fighting fiercely. However, a certain glamorous school beauty did not take the usual path. She was one step ahead of them and started to hit Chen Beiyuan hard. Chapter 120 in Biyu's Call. Chen Beiyuan didn't expect Leng Ruobing's change to be so drastic. Compared to the first time at the Longting Hotel, he was so unruly and arrogant. Now it is like a gentle and obedient kitten that takes the initiative to please its owner. This undoubtedly made Chen Beiyuan change his opinion of her. I just don't know if it was because he always made her kneel before, which led Leng Ruobing to think that she had a special hobby in this area. However, these are small things. Only obedient kittens can get more gifts from their owners. He was in a slightly happy mood. His eyes became much gentler, and he stretched out his hand to tidy up Leng Ruobing's messy hair. Even his movements were very gentle, just like the interaction between lovers. I have to say that some things always make perfect with practice. Leng Ruobing still has some talent in this regard. At least Chen Beiyuan recognized it after personal experience. Deep in his soul, the angry little silly dragon Anu was biting the Chen Beiyuan brand doll, and suddenly felt something was wrong. The surrounding soul fluctuations seemed to become pleasant, with some kind of special rhythm. Out of curiosity, she quietly ran to the edge of her soul. When she saw him peeking outside, she was stunned on the spot. The strange and ignorant dual pupils instantly appeared with a strange light. Yuan, so painful. The scene in front of him undoubtedly opened the door to a new world for the little silly dragon Anu. It turns out that apart from biting a Yuan's hair, you can do this. So boring. No, a Yuan can only be bitten by the nest. For some reason, the little silly dragon Anu felt empty in his heart, and he immediately wanted to run out and stop him. Anu, be good, go to sleep. Maybe he noticed the little silly dragon Anu's subtle touches. Chen Beiyuan was slightly shaken and realized something was wrong. He instantly used the hidden dragon technique to blind her perception and used his soul power to comfort her and go to sleep. However, this move instantly opened the door to the new world, and the little silly dragon Anu, who was about to run out, was so angry that he suddenly screamed. Seeing that she couldn't get out, she got angry and grabbed Chen Beiyuan's doll, smashed it and bit it, just like a child who had been deceived by her old father. Bow, ah, Yuan bad, ah, Yuan. Bite to death you, bite to death you. After comforting the little silly dragon anew and not letting her run away, Chen Beiyuan secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Just as he was about to close his eyes and sleep for a while, his personal phone suddenly rang. Chen Beiyuan was stunned. Not many people knew his private phone number. When he looked at the caller's name, he was slightly stunned, and then he showed an interesting smile. Caller. And BU? And BU has not had a call for so many days, and now she calls suddenly. Obviously, we have made contact with some people within the Gu clan in southern Xinjiang and achieved some initial results. Although the timing at this moment is a bit wrong, it involves the layout and interests of southern Xinjiang. Chen Beiyuan ignored the others and answered the phone decisively. For him, southern Xinjiang is his biggest plan now, and he must pay close attention to it. You finally gave me a call. The Gu clan stronghold and in. Master, I have sneaked into the Gu clan stronghold, and now I have made contact with an elder of the Gu clan who supported me back then. Most of the elders who supported me back then were secretly suppressed, excluded, and lost most of their rights by that bitch in Yunu. They had high expectations for my appearance and expressed that they would fully support me. However, that bitch in Yunu has controlled the Gu clan for nearly 20 years, and most of the power is in her hands. I still need the support of several powerful elders to be sure. The great elder of the Gu clan is also of the Gu emperor's bloodline, and is one of my blood relatives. If I can get her support, I can have 2 more chances of winning. Now, there are less than 3 months left before the inheritance of Emperor Gu changes. The cold and charming young woman leaning on the bed has now changed into a gorgeous and luxurious colorful Gu dress. Her shoulders are a delicate shawl embroidered with Gu insects, her lower body is a pleated skirt, her waist is surrounded by Gu bags, and she wears a dazzling hat on her head. Silver jewelry. The exquisite silver jewelry hanging down matched her snow-like skin, which made her look extremely gorgeous. She exudes an exotic aura, without any incongruity of an outsider, just like a real member of the Gu tribe. Although she had been away for nearly 20 years, she still quickly integrated into it after returning. I have to say that BU is indeed a very capable woman. She knows that time will change everything. If she wants to regain everything that once belonged to her, she must get the support of people within the Gu clan. If you want to get support, you need to provide tangible benefits. Over the years, some of those who supported her have either been bribed or suppressed. With the help of the Chen family's people lurking in southern Xinjiang, she successfully entered the Gu clan's stronghold and established a line with the elders who had been suppressed and had their power taken away. One is the ex-saintess who was framed, betrayed, and wants to come back and take everything back. One is a group of elders who have been seized of power and suppressed, and are eager to regain their rights. The encounter between the two parties is naturally conceivable. Almost immediately, BU gained some support from within the Gu clan. After she had gained something, she immediately thought of Chen Beiyuan and couldn't wait to call him. At this moment, she no longer had the strong and cold arrogance she had in front of the elders before. Instead, she had the shyness of a little girl, like a woman in love. You did very well. His voice was a little hoarse, but it also had a touch of gentleness and a strange magical charm. BU's body trembled. After hearing this voice that was so familiar to her soul, she felt a little uncontrollable. Owner. Leng Ruobing, who was busy, suddenly felt that the voice on the other end of the phone seemed familiar. But before she could start thinking, the big, generous and warm hand stretched out towards her, with a hint of domineering. Continue. The Gu clan stronghold and in. BU's face, who was being affectionate with her master, suddenly changed slightly. With her sensitive hearing, she obviously noticed some familiar sounds. She froze on the spot for a moment, and a bit of bitterness seemed to flash across her face, but she quickly adjusted her mentality. Master, is Binger okay? Hey, she's very good. As long as I'm here, no one dares to bully her. Chapter 121. If you dare to attack you, I will conquer the southern border. A trace of trance flashed across BU's cold and charming face, and she was confused. Qianqiansu's hand holding the phone trembled, and she clearly heard the owner's gasp. This sound was very familiar to her. Her heartbeat began to beat very fast, and she felt a little disappointed and a little embarrassed. He's still so bad, but she couldn't hate it. Perhaps sensing BU's strangeness and silence, Chen Beiyuan's voice became much gentler, with a hint of obvious concern. When you work there, safety is the first priority. The situation there is not far away from that of Yinjing and Shanggao Emperor. It is difficult for me to react to many things in time. You must also be wary of those elders you win over. People's hearts are fickle. They may support you because of their own interests, or they may betray you because of greater interests. The Donghua Empire has a group army stationed on the border of southern Xinjiang. The army commander Wu Kuaming appears to be from the Lin family, but in fact he is from my Chen family. I will give you his contact information soon. If something unexpected happens, just give up all plans and hide in first. He will keep you safe. Save people and lose land, and everyone in land will be saved. Save land and lose people, and everyone in land will be lost. You should understand this truth. Since I am using you, I will naturally protect you. As long as I am here, no one can touch you. If the Gu tribe dares to take action against Donghua's army and you, I will let the imperial military conquer the entire southern Xinjiang. Chen Beiyuan said domineeringly. Although in the original work, Beiyuan successfully regained everything that belonged to her, she also paid a heavy price, leading to her death. This time, with his support behind him, this situation will never be allowed to happen. Southern Xinjiang needs a trustworthy spokesperson, and Beiyuan is undoubtedly the best candidate. She leaves no room for error. Anyone who dares to stand in front of him will die. In a declining Gu clan, the only one he could fear was the 8th grade Emperor Gu. Chen Beiyuan ignored the rest. Owner. Beiyuan was also impressed by his domineering remarks at this moment. Her eyes gradually became blurred. The disappointment on her face was wiped away, and a blush appeared on her cold face. Since ancient times, those big shots have mostly been ruthless and unrighteous people. In the face of huge interests, there are countless cases of being regarded as abandoned. Deep down in Beiyuan's heart, she is not worried about this aspect, for fear that if she makes a wrong step, myriad tribulations will no longer exist. After her death, will Chen Beiyuan still protect her daughter? Will you still remember her? But now, this worry has dissipated. The master is not that kind of heartless person. He still has her in his heart, and an extremely stable escape route has been prepared for her. Is the Donghua Empire really incapable of taking over southern Xinjiang? How is that possible? The reason why southern Xinjiang has been so chaotic and without order over the years is that why can the Gu clan become the king and hegemony? It was because the Donghua Empire believed that the price paid was too high. In addition, all forces in southern Xinjiang are supporting forces to make money, so they have never made up their minds. But if the people of southern Xinjiang dare to attack the imperial army, it will be blatant treason, blatantly provoking the entire Donghua Empire. At that time, it will be useless for anyone to come. Anyone who dares to intercede will be stabbed first. The entire southern Xinjiang will surely face the empire's iron-blooded suppression. With this talisman, Beiyuan suddenly thought that she was still too cautious before and could be a little bolder. At this moment, she even ignored some unnecessary sounds on the other end of the phone. Her whole body seemed to be wrapped in honey of happiness, and a faint smile unconsciously appeared at the corner of her mouth. Women are emotional and will always be obsessed with powerful men who can bring them a sense of security. In the original book, she also experienced confusion, despair, and depression on the way to revenge, but there was no broad shoulder to lean on and give her safety. She could only walk to the dark side in one way. Now she is different. At this moment, she felt that she was fearless even if she had to go up a mountain of swords or into a sea of fire. Cough, 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 cough. At this moment, a violent coughing sound came over. Someone had obviously choked on something, but Beiyuan still had a bewildered expression, not moved at all, as if she hadn't heard anything. She took out a personal collection of photos from her chest. The photo shows Chen Beiyuan bathing in a blood pool and pretending to sleep with his eyes closed. In the thick mist, his strong body is vaguely visible. Owner. Snapped. The phone hangs up. Chen Beiyuan thoughtfully patted the back of Leng Ruobing, who was coughing violently, and wiped his mouth, his eyes full of tenderness. At the same time, he also had a simple Kung Fu secret book in his hand, which he placed in front of Leng Ruobing. Ruobing, although the Leng family technique Leng Yuju practiced is a little strange, in the final analysis, it is still too mediocre. It is just a 6th grade technique. The 6th grade War King is the limit. There is a better one for you. This, Desolate Gu Sutra, is an 8th grade skill, and can only be practiced by women. It is just suitable for you to change cultivation. I will give you the contents of the first 5 levels first. After you practice to the 5th grade War Master, the remaining 3 floors are left to you. I will prepare the corresponding training materials and Gu insects for you. Beiyuan. Leng Ruobing, whose face was flushed, looked at Chen Beiyuan, who spoke softly, in the 8th grade Kung Fu in front of him. His eyes suddenly misted, and his face was moved. She never expected that Chen Beiyuan would find an 8th grade skill specifically for her. This is an existence that the top forces regard as forbidden. It is not an exaggeration to say that it is the lifeblood. But Chen Beiyuan gave it to her directly. This undoubtedly made her feel unprecedented importance. But what Leng Ruobing didn't know was that this Desolate Gu book was given to Chen Beiyuan by her mother and Beiyuan and asked him to help deliver it. Okay, don't cry. It won't look good if you cry all over your face. I'll ask someone to go to Donghua Academy to ask you for a few days leave. You can peacefully study Desolate Gu Sutra at home in the past few days? I will send people to deliver the goo insects and resources you need. Chen Beiyuan caressed her face, wiped away her tears, and instantly deceived her with sweet words. The whole person seemed to be surrounded by happiness. Beiyuan, you are so kind to me. After Leng Ruobing was moved, she took the initiative to explode another wave of gold coins. Afterwards, he took the Desolate Goo Sutra with a happy face and was sent back to Leng's house by Chen Beiyuan. I have to say that Chen Beiyuan is definitely a great master in terms of mental SBU. He almost controlled Leng Ruobing to death. Until Leng Ruobing left, the tenderness in Chen Beiyuan's eyes gradually dissipated and turned into a clear air. The gentle smile on his face also disappeared without a trace. It's time to break through to the 6th grade Battle King. Chapter 122, Eyes in the Deep Abyss. For Chen Beiyuan, strength is his greatest reliance. He can relax himself for a short period of time, but he will not indulge in it. From beginning to end, his reason is always higher than his desire. Everything he did had an underlying purpose. The previous, Soul Beast Tower, team not only obtained the divine ability of Yeju Must Retaliate, but also accumulated terrifying mental power for him to fuse the Battle Soul, which was enough to fuse the Battle Soul and break through to the 6th grade Battle King. Once he breaks through, his strength is destined to undergo earth-shaking changes. Secret Room. Chen Beiyuan was wearing a black robe and sitting cross-legged on the ground. To his left was standing a motionless troll puppet with a metallic texture all over its body, a giant stick in its hand, and a ferocious face. On the right side, there is a mutated blood dragon with a scarlet body, exuding terrifying pressure, cold scales and claws, a majestic dragon head, and a natural dual pupils. The next breakthrough involves the high-density fusion of the fighting spirit and the physical body, which is destined to be a long-term effort. Naturally, he couldn't let the little silly dragon stay in his body, especially since it was still deep in his soul, so he chose to release it to protect the law with the troll puppet. Of course, this little silly dragon was still sulky with him because of what happened before. However, how could such a small thing faze Chen Beiyuan? When he handed the last dragon blood Dao fruit to the little silly dragon, the angry Anu instantly forgot all the previous things, and the thick scarlet dragon tail shook and flew up. Bad A Yuan instantly turned into Good A Yuan. It's time to begin. After everything was ready, Chen Beiyuan closed his eyes, and the terrifying spiritual power surging in his body instantly boiled, setting off a stormy sea. Zhuowang Dao Jing instantly puts him into the Zhuowang state of unity of heaven and man. The whole person seems to be integrated with the heaven and earth, and can temporarily rely on the power of heaven and earth. The prison-suppressing demonic scripture began to operate unconsciously, and the strange and mysterious prison-suppressing demonic energy began to riot crazily, rushing towards the depths of the soul, slowly touching a taboo existence. Deep in the soul, a terrifying existence exuding a forbidden aura began to manifest, and pure darkness instantly swept across the entire space, carrying a pressure that destroyed all things. The abyss has arrived. An idea condensed by pure demonic energy and spiritual power also appeared in front of the abyss. This is my natural fighting spirit, and it is also the most mysterious fighting spirit in Urban Medical God Xiaolu. Unlike other cultivators who need to cultivate to 4th grade warriors before they can gather their fighting souls, my abyss fighting spirit is innate. On the day I was born, a vision came from the sky. A huge crack appeared in the sky, which instantly alarmed the entire Donghua Empire. But in fact, it was not a so-called vision, but the manifestation of my fighting spirit. As soon as he was born, his fighting spirit was awakened and manifested outside. This is absolutely unheard of in the past, and is too shocking to the world. Moreover, when I was born, the mysterious stone tablet hidden deep in the Sutra Pavilion broke automatically, and the prison-suppressing magic scripture recognized its owner on its own. This means that this weird magic skill has a lot to do with the abyss. The involvement. What is the connection between you two? Chen Beiyuan looked at the abyss in front of him with cold eyes, which seemed to have some kind of strange brilliance. In a sense, even he, the destined villain, doesn't know much about his own abyss fighting spirit. In the original work, there are very few records about the abyss, and there is no detailed description of its specific origin. This is almost a mystery. In front of him, he was as small as an ant, but he was also his master. Chen Beiyuan is very clear that the current self is not enough to truly exert the true power of the abyss. However, when he is in danger, abyss will always erupt with terrifying power and reverse the situation. Just like the spiritual mark left by the bloody dragon emperor before, it was swallowed by the abyss. The only thing he can confirm at this moment is, the abyss in front of you is alive, and there is most likely something hidden in it. However, if you want to know what is hidden, you have to go in and take a look in person. He had previously had the idea of going in to find out what was going on, But as soon as the idea came up, a creepy premonition came to his mind and issued an early warning. Obviously, his current strength is not enough to go in and find out, perhaps because he stared at the abyss for too long. Chen Beiyuan felt that his consciousness began to become drowsy. The state of oblivion began to exit, and the endless darkness began to sweep towards him and merge into his body. Swish! The huge dark crack suddenly opened a pair of huge bloodshot eyes staring at him. After learning the news that Chen Beiyuan began to practice in seclusion, preparing to break through to the 6th grade War King, the most disappointed person is undoubtedly Jiang Yunhua, the emperor's daughter. After all, her fire poison has become much stronger in the past few days, and she needs to detoxify. However, the fact that Chen Beiyuan passed through the 7th floor of Soul Beast Tower started to ferment and spread a little bit, sweeping through the entire Yinjing city and gradually spreading to the outside world. The entire Donghua Empire was boiling instantly. Suddenly, many people began to recall the prediction given to Chen Beiyuan by the owner of Heavenly Secrets Pavilion 6 years ago. Some good people even began to regard Chen Beiyuan as the strongest person of the younger generation. Donghua Academy. Perhaps because of Chen Beiyuan's previous beatings, exchange students from various countries have restrained themselves a lot. They don't dare to be as unscrupulous as before and start to behave with their tail between their legs. The fate of Prince Talos before was still vivid in his mind. At this time, the Sakura Country exchange student group headed by Jingu Fengyuan gathered together. The Donghua Empire is expanding too fast. According to some previous good friends of the Sakura Kingdom, if it hadn't been for the 8th grade emperor of the Chen family who had laid down a huge territory on the border front this time, I'm afraid they would have the eyes of expansion are set on other countries around. The people in this country are greedy. Once they digest that huge territory, they will definitely not stop. Gentlemen, for the sake of the great Sakura Country, we must do a good job in the tasks assigned to us by the adults, and draw those who are willing to get close to us into our camp. Jingu Fengyuan looked at the other members in front of him with a serious face. As the eldest prince of the Sakura Kingdom royal family, he personally led the team here this time, so he naturally had his own mission. As the Donghua Empire grows stronger, the Sakura Kingdom, as its neighbor, naturally becomes more and more frightened, fearing that this behemoth will suddenly target them. In this case, some necessary means will naturally be used. Donghua Academy is the sacred land of the empire, and every Donghua student is the future pillar of the empire. If they can get close to Sakura Country and speak for the great Sakura Country at a critical moment, of course, in Shungong Fengyuan's heart, the person he most wants to win over is Chen Beiyuan, the young master of the Chen family. If we can win over this future military leader, it will not only indirectly deter the Ito family, but also make the situation of Sakura Country better. It's a pity that during this period of time, Yukino has never found a chance to get close to the other party. I revised it several times and finally got it right. Chapter 123, The Ambitious Sakura Countryman. Jingu Fengyuan's worries are not without reason, but there is some basis for it. After all, Sakura Kingdom and Donghua Empire still have blood debts that have not yet been settled. 100 years ago, a super-large secret realm appeared on the border front of the Donghua Empire. 2 8th-grade ferocious beasts triggered a large beast tide and alien invasion. The sudden situation almost caught the Donghua Empire off guard, causing most of the entire northern territory to fall into the hands of the ferocious alien beasts. During that time, all countries overseas cast their prying eyes on it, trying to carve up the flesh and blood of this behemoth like hungry wolves. During this period, the cherry blossom dance was the most enjoyable. The Ito family in Sakura Kingdom united with the Fujiki family, Rakutani family, Fukada family, Ueno family, and started a series of small actions. They repeatedly sent warships to invade the waters of the Donghua Empire, drive away the fishermen of the Donghua Empire, and sink fishing boats, with the intention of taking the surrounding waters as their own. Obviously, the Sakura Country at that time believed that it had a chance to win and was ready to enjoy the fruits of victory. As a result, the ancestor of the Chen family who was responsible for guarding the border killed one of the 2 8th-grade beasts and maimed another at the cost of his life. The Chen family of Donghua sacrificed human lives to drive away the ferocious alien beasts, take back the eroded northern territory, and eradicate internal troubles. The ancestors of major aristocratic families also ended up one after another, secretly fighting against the minions of various countries, showing a tough attitude. Now, it's Sakura Country's turn. There is no way. Whoever makes it closest to the Donghua Empire dances the hardest. The Donghua Empire, which briefly solved the internal and external troubles, immediately launched its revenge. All invading warships suffered devastating blows. An 8th-grade war emperor from the Sakura Kingdom, who was following the battleship, was intercepted halfway, and his fate can naturally be imagined. If it weren't for the death of the ancestor of the Chen family, a vacancy in the military leadership, coupled with the unresolved mess in the northern part of the empire, the turmoil within the empire, and the emergence of harmony in some countries, the East Chinese with his character, he has probably already gone to Sakura Country. This debt is not complete. Xingong Fengyuan knows that some Donghua people have poor memories, but some Donghua people have very good memories. Some things are very unforgettable. Gentlemen, this is a war about the fate of Sakura country. You must do it with the most serious attitude. I swear to serve His Highness Fengyuan to the death. Seeing Jingu Fengyuan being so solemn, many Sakura country exchange students present were affected by this, with fanatical expressions on their faces. Obviously, despite being ignored, the Sakura Kingdom royal family still has a lot of prestige. It's alarmist. If the Donghua people really dare to take action, how long will it take for them to wait? I think it's your Shengguan family's deliberate propaganda. They want to cause internal panic and fish in troubled waters. With the Ito family protecting us, who dares to touch the Sakura country? The Sakura country is not a small tribal country like Cloverfield. Only Ito Makoto, who was born in the Ito family, curled his lips in disdain and muttered something in a low voice with an indifferent expression. Obviously, deep down in his heart, he did not take seriously a prince who came from a puppet royal family. In his opinion, the real patron saint of Sakura country is the Ito family, not the so-called Jinjia family. In contrast, he is more concerned about the negotiation task assigned to him by his family. Ito Makoto thought that his little actions were very hidden, but he didn't notice that just now, Jingu Fengyuan's fists under the chrysanthemum kimono suddenly clenched, his eyes became sharp, and he looked at him with murderous intent. Even the third son of the Ito family dared to look down on him like this. It is natural to imagine how arrogant and domineering the Ito family in Sakura country are. This is a greedy wolf that kills its master. At this moment, Shengong Fengyuan's heart became more and more urgent to seek foreign aid. A fierce tiger must be found to frighten the evil wolf of the Ito family. Only then can the Jingu family regain power. Junyi, I have always admired Donghua culture and hope to make friends with the geniuses of the Donghua Empire. This is a specialty of the Sakura country. It is my meeting gift. Please accept it. Mu Jun, my two twin sisters have always admired Donghua culture and hope to have in-depth exchanges with you, the proud people of heaven. If you have time, please give me some advice. Tianjun, I heard that you are finally looking for a magic sword that suits you. As the saying goes, swords are given to heroes. It just so happens that my ancestors once passed down a 6th grade magic weapon. Sakura Man was very fast. After a few days of brief understanding, he began to act according to the selected target. Give gifts, cannons, magic weapons. For a time, many Donghua students began to waver under the continuous tests. Some sense that something is wrong and know that there is no free lunch in the world, so they politely refuse. Some of them are thinking that they have come, and they don't ask you to do things. It's not good if you don't accept them, and it will easily hurt the sincerity of the other party, so they accept the offer after a few shirks. Especially the two twins who admire Donghua culture, how can they refuse such a thing? It is our duty to promote Donghua culture. Perhaps I have to consider changing places. Although the opportunity is greater in the capital of the empire, it is a gathering place for all major aristocratic families. Even though I am the adopted son of the head of the Lin family, I am still not good enough in the eyes of the true aristocratic families. Coupled with Chen Beiyuan's previous targeting, many people did not dare to get close to me at all. I don't have much room to display my medical skills. Lin Zhao's eyes flickered, and he began to think about the next way forward. He has been hiding in Donghua Academy during this period, and has never returned to the Lin family. Because whenever he returned to the Lin family, that bastard Lin Zhaoxiao would always come to pester him. When Lin Xiao thought of that scene, he shuddered and wished he could kill him. This bastard. He had healed him with good intentions, but he actually paid attention to him. Fortunately, that bastard still had some scruples and didn't dare to go to Donghua Academy to harass him. Otherwise, he really has to think about how to poison the opponent quietly and kill him. At this moment, he had vague thoughts of leaving Yinjing, a place where dragons and snakes are mixed. With Chen Beiyuan around, it would be really difficult for him to get ahead in Yinjing. But he was a little reluctant to leave. After all, as the capital of the empire, Yinjing City is full of opportunities. Just when Lin Xiao was entangled, someone knocked on his door. Is Mr. Lin here? I am Makoto Ito, the deputy leader of the Sakura Country Exchange Group. I have always known Mr. Lin to be very talented, and I would like to come over and make some friends. As Donghua University's talent ability, it is second only to Chen Beiyuan. Lin Xiao is naturally one of the key targets of the Sakura people. Donghua Academy is naturally aware of Sakura Man's little moves. But the strange thing is that he didn't interfere at all, but chose to watch indifferently. In the blink of an eye, 7 days passed. Subtle movements suddenly appeared in the quiet environment of the Chun family's secret room. Click. Chapter 124 6th Grade Battle King. Click. Sitting cross-legged on the ground, as still as a statue, tiny cracks suddenly appeared on Chen Beiyuan's face and gradually spread to his whole body. At a glance, it looks like a broken mirror, with a strange and terrifying beauty. Snap, snap, snap. Pieces of cracked fragments began to fall, revealing skin that was as clear as white jade and had a holy radiance. This scene is like molting. The old skin on the body is shed, and a new, more perfect and more powerful skin is regrown. Swish. The closed eyes suddenly opened, and the strange dark purple demonic eyes were filled with cold and biting demonic nature, without any emotion, as if they were going to destroy everything. Boom. Dark purple terrifying demonic flames suddenly erupted from his body and soared into the sky, directly burning all the clothes on his body and turning them into nothingness along with the fallen fragments. The temperature of the entire secret room rose sharply, and the stone slabs that could withstand the attack of the 7th grade war emperor began to become charred and broken. Click, click. The space was burned to pieces by the terrifying demonic flames. The troll puppet guarding the left side was directly swallowed by the sudden, terrifying demonic flames. It was scorched black and began to melt. Bang! At the critical moment, the little silly dragon Anu, who was sleeping soundly next to him, opened a gap, swung his dragon's tail, and flew the silly big guy away. He approached Chen Beiyuan directly and circled him around. Got up. The terrifying magic flame burned on her body, but it could not penetrate the scarlet and tough dragon scales. The huge and majestic dragon head pressed directly on Chen Beiyuan's head, and he shook his head in satisfaction. Hey, Yuan, so warm, and sleep. Boom. The top of the secret room was directly broken by the dark purple magic flame, sweeping towards the sky. A terrifying demonic thought suddenly spread in all directions, arousing fear in everyone's heart. Such a huge movement instantly alarmed the entire Chen family. Sutra Pavilion. The elder, who had age spots on his face and exuded an aura of decay, was lying on the carved dragon rocking chair. He suddenly opened his cloudy eyes and looked towards the direction of the secret room with some surprise. His eyes seemed to have penetrated all restraints, and he saw a tall figure exuding terrifying demonic flames being coiled around the body by a giant dragon. What a weird demon. That guy Zhiqing wasn't so powerful when he broke through the 7th grade war emperor. The weird magic skill that our ancestors found back then is definitely not as simple as 8th grade. Could it be the legendary 9th grade skill? This matter must not be exposed easily, otherwise it will be a big trouble for the Chen family. The great elder grabbed the dragon-headed crutch next to him and knocked it lightly on the ground. A mysterious wave spread instantly. The Protect the Clan, hidden under the Chen family, was activated, and the complex formation shone instantly, bursting out with black light, directly covering the Chen family and blocking all strange phenomena. The powerful spiritual thoughts cast by various forces were blocked by the black light covering the entire Chen family, making it impossible to peek into the Chen family's situation. What happened to that dark purple pillar of fire just now? The flame is a bit familiar. It seems to be Chen Beiyuan's unique magic flame. Could it be Chen Beiyuan who broke through to the 6th grade battle king? Hey, the 18-year-old 6th grade war king. Such a talent is a bit scary. It's a pity that I was a step too late and couldn't see the situation inside. The spiritual thoughts exchanged a few words with each other, then returned to the original path and disappeared. Soon, rumors about Chen Beiyuan's suspected breakthrough to the 6th grade war king began to spread secretly. Although the matter has not yet been confirmed, according to the calculations of those who are interested, it is estimated that it is close to 10. As time passed, the heavenly demon flames in the secret room gradually dissipated. The coldness and ruthlessness in Chen Beiyuan's eyes gradually faded away, turning into the calmness of an ancient well. 6th grade done. Ding, the properties panel has been opened. Host, Chen Beiyuan. Age, 18. Cultivation, War King 6th grade. Skills, Prison Suppressing Demonic Sutra, 8th grade. Wordless Medical Sutra, the only one. Zhuang Dao Sutra, 8th grade. Hidden Dragon Technique, Secret Method. Combat Skills, Forbidden Demon Destroying Flame Palm, Forbidden Demon Destroying Hellfist, Forbidden Demon Destroying Blood Slash, Prison Suppressing Shackles. Divine Ability, Blood Dragon Transformation, Ferocious Beast Divine Ability, Immobilization Spell, Taoist Divine Ability, Retribution, Divine Ability of Life, Fighting Spirit. Fate, Destiny Villain. Items, God Stone, Wordless Medical Scripture, Bishi Broken Armor, Troll Puppet, Poison of Illusion. It is different from other urban novels where the protagonist needs to go through a lot of hardships before he can break through. Chen Beiyuan's breakthrough this time was very smooth, and it can even be said that it was a matter of course. 7 days. Just 7 days. He then completed the high-density fusion of his physical body and fighting spirit, and his soul underwent a qualitative transformation. The gains from this breakthrough are not small, and the physical body has improved further, which is comparable to the 7th grade divine weapon. Once the Blood Dragon transformation is used, I am afraid that I will be able to reach the peak of the 7th grade divine weapon. Spiritual power has also made a qualitative breakthrough, transformed into divine thoughts, possessing the ability to control objects, which can act on reality and face the truth. At this moment, even without the help of the little silly dragon Anu and the troll puppet, I can fight head-on with Fudo on the 7th floor of the Soul Beast Tower. If I use 1 or 2 trump cards, it will not be difficult to kill him. Chen Beiyuan felt the surging force in his body, which was comparable to the terrifying power of a ferocious beast, the strange and unpredictable powerful spiritual thoughts, and the boundless prison-suppressing demonic energy. There was also a smile with emotion on his face. He didn't know how strong he was at this moment. However, an ordinary 7th grade war king would be beaten on the spot if he couldn't even withstand one of his punches. However, the biggest gain this time is not just that. Chen Beiyuan's biggest gain is his abyss fighting spirit. He could clearly feel that his connection with the abyss was getting closer and closer, and he could even slightly sense a hidden existence deep in the abyss. There is indeed something hidden inside. Chen Beiyuan's eyes flashed, but he has not yet thought of going into the abyss to find out. After all, the last early warning impressed him deeply. Abyss is the most mysterious fighting spirit in the original work, and no one knows its origins at all. The existence hidden in the abyss may be beyond his imagination. He will not rush in before reaching the 8th grade war emperor. By the way, why is it dark? It shouldn't be daytime now? And why does it feel a little hot and muggy? Well, it's also raining. Chen Beiyuan looked at the darkness in front of him, the strong pressure and hot temperature coming from all directions, and the raindrops constantly falling from his head. He struggled subconsciously and wanted to get up. Swish! The darkness above the head suddenly dissipated, revealing light, and a huge and majestic scarlet dragon head suddenly came into view. I saw the little silly dragon Anu smashing his mouth, yawning and drooling, looking like he had just woken up. The confused and weird dual pupils saw Chen Beiyuan's confused expression, like a stupid little kid who saw his favorite toy, and subconsciously bit his head. Yuan. Chapter 125 Roster. After a strenuous struggle, Chen Beiyuan finally escaped from the dragon's mouth. There was a light red tooth mark on his neck, and his whole body was covered with saliva. I don't know who the little silly dragon learned this habit from, biting his head at every turn. Fortunately, his current physique is not inferior to that of dragon race at the same level, and he can withstand this torment. If it had been anyone else, he would have been killed by this silly little dragon. I don't know where you learned your bad habits. He stood up naked and slowly put on a new black robe to cover his strong body, with a hint of helplessness on his face. In fact, he probably guessed a little bit. This little silly dragon probably thought of him as his male sibling. After all, he who had been soaked in the blood dragon pond contained part of the blood essence and blood of the bloody dragon emperor. The little silly dragon's random biting and licking are actually just playful expressions of intimacy between the dragon races. However, he didn't know if it was his imagination, but he always felt that there was something wrong with the way little silly dragon looked at him, especially when he put on his clothes. Although she still had the dazed expression on the surface, the thick and powerful dragon tail was wagging faster and faster, as if she was very excited. No way, Anu is only 3 months old. It shouldn't be that time yet. Chen Beiyuan's expression was a little strange. Swish! The little silly dragon yawned, and his body changed. His huge body instantly shrank, turning into a small blood dragon that was only the size of a finger. It jumped directly to his head, pulled his hair, and looked for he settled into a comfortable position and began to fall asleep. Yuan, sleep, sleep, sleep. It has to be said that Dragon Race's talent is absolutely unique. Not only is he born with the ability to soar into the clouds, summon the wind and the rain, and drive thunder and lightning, he has a top-notch powerful physique. He also has the divine ability of big and small, which can be used at will. Change size. Even if you do nothing but eat, sleep, and sleep, your strength will steadily improve with age. Moreover, in terms of lifespan, Dragon Race far exceeds human race. The little silly dragon has obviously eaten the second Dragon Blood Dao fruit he gave him, and now he has fallen into a stage of skyrocketing strength. I just don't know if I can directly cross the threshold of the 7th grade beast. Even Chen Beiyuan is a little envious of such a powerful talent. However, it is just envy. He looked at the troll puppet deep in the ground not far away. Some parts of the dark troll puppet that had been burned by the terrifying demonic flames had begun to self-heal at this moment. The 7th grade puppet is not as simple as imagined. As long as the most important core is not destroyed, even if it is dismembered, as long as you give it time and materials, it will slowly heal itself. The troll puppet in the pit suddenly turned into a dark ring and returned to his hand. Chen Beiyuan, dressed in black, slowly walked out of the secret room, looked at the bright full moon in the sky, and murmured to himself, "Has anything big happened these days?" "Young master, There hasn't been much happening these days, but Principal Jiang asked someone to deliver a roster, saying that he wanted to hand it over to you personally. The one-armed old man stepped out of the shadows and handed a roster in front of him. Roster? Chen Beiyuan's eyes narrowed, and he was a little confused as to why Jiang Bai gave him this thing for no reason. Could it be possible that something else happened? And when he opened the roster in his hand and saw the content inside, his eyes changed slightly. He laughed angrily on the spot and cursed angrily. A bunch of people who don't know how to live or die. This roster clearly records the names and detailed information of each Donghua student, as well as how many benefits they have secretly received from Sakura people during this period. These people include commoner geniuses from lower-class backgrounds, heirs with high hopes from small and medium-sized families, and some from wealthy families. The roster not only records their detailed information, but also the time and place where they received the benefits, and what they said. Money, beauty, magic weapons, land, shares. Everyone is having a great time. They dare to collect anything, they dare to take anything, and they dare to ask for anything. Among them, the most eye-catching ones are undoubtedly the twins from Sakura country. In just a few days, I was involved with at least more than 100 Donghua students. Okay, everyone is learning foreign languages very seriously. Presumably, many people's Sakura language has improved a lot in the past few days. There is no doubt that during this period of time, exchange students from Sakura country, headed by Jingu Fengyuan, are definitely the most popular foreign exchange students at Donghua Academy. No way, who wouldn't like this group of boys who give away money and guns? They don't ask you for anything, they just want to make friends. What a big deal. Who doesn't have a few foreign friends these days? As friends, it is normal to give some small gifts and have in-depth communication. As for saying, during the conversation, did you accidentally let out some things? Those are all small sections. Between friends, don't pay attention to your inner status. Those people thought they were keeping things secret and having fun, but little did they know that their every move had long been watched. How could what happened at Donghua Academy escape the eyes of Jiang Bai, the 8th grade war emperor? Do everyone think that this top powerhouse is blind? I dare to accept money for working hard. It seems that my life is too comfortable and I have forgotten some things. I'm not afraid of taking my life or losing my life. Chen Beiyuan's eyes gradually turned cold. How can there be such a thing as a pie in the sky? Do you dare to take things that are delivered to your door for no reason? Isn't it too hot? If you win the first time, do you dare to win the second time, the third time? By then, if you get used to it, will you still have to speak for those Sakura people? Do you really think those Sakura people are so kind? A bunch of brainless things. Do you really think that no one knows about your little tricks? It can be said that the higher-ups are very clear about your affairs. The reason why they stood aside and did not interfere is to see who are not determined. Nowadays, everyone takes the initiative to come out and saves the time to look for them one by one. Donghua people have had the habit of keeping small notebooks since ancient times. They are used to quietly writing down some things that have happened and waiting for the reckoning in the future. None of those who are on the roster can escape. Some rotten meat must be removed. It seems that the royal family has a big conspiracy and is planning to take action against Sakura country. That's right. I've kept this thing running around for so long. It's time to put it away. The end of the year is coming soon. How can we have a good new year without killing a fat pig?
Thanks for watching. You can find the next videos in the playlist linked in the info card or directly on my channel. If you have any feedback, I'd love to hear it. Feel free to drop a comment.